It is, man, September 27th, and we are doing a stream. I got my buddy James Lee with me here today. And before we start, check in SARS. Let us know where you're from. Let us know that you're here. Have you heard this term, James? I just learned this term today. It's called poo cell.
Never heard it, man. Dude.
It's like there's so many guys and men in India. So they're calling them guys that will never get married because there's so many men and not enough women right now. So they're calling them poo cells. I just heard the term. I thought it was hilarious. James is a good friend of mine. If you don't know, he is a political commentator. He is probably one of the most well-researched people I know. He talks about a lot of the issues I think we care about. And I get a lot of my information from him. I don't agree with everything that James says. Sometimes you're out there. Sometimes
I'm out there. Wow.
But James Lee, welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on, buddy.
Hey, I'm excited to yak it up for the next couple hours, Matt. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. If you guys missed it before, James was in the studio to do a podcast. When was that? Like 6 months ago? 8 months ago?
Oh man, I don't remember.
A year ago?
It was was it this year though? I feel like it was this year. No, it was not. I don't know.
It was early.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, well, if you find it, maybe link it somewhere. People can come check it out and all of that. But yeah, so he's back. Dude, you've been getting me into a little bit of trouble.
Me?
A little bit of trouble?
Getting you into trouble. How so?
A little bit of trouble.
Tell me.
Because, okay, you're like the FBI director. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to get flagged. The FBI director's girlfriend is Honeypot, and she's like Mossad. And I know her. And she was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with your friend? and I was like, I'm like, okay, I don't think you are. And then you started making your case. And I was like, huh. You're kind of convinced me a little bit. You know, she's like, you can't talk to him. He's like, really? I'm like, don't tell me who I can talk to. Now I'm really concerned.
Hey, I just have to say, after my video came out, which, by the way, I didn't say directly anything. I was bringing up facts that other people were bringing up, and I was just throwing them out there and saying, hey, this is what's going on. Also, this is what ChatGPT thinks of your background and history. And then they played that clip on Megyn Kelly when they brought Alexis on to denounce denounce that she was a spy. And I was going through the comments, and people were saying things like, well, I didn't think she was a spy, but now that you've brought her on to officially ask her if she's not, and she obviously said no, now I'm starting to think that she might be a spy.
Isn't there Megyn Kelly? Is she working for them too?
Megyn Kelly? I mean, I think she's been in mainstream media for a long time, so she came up through the Zionist media ecosystem. So I don't know if she's with them or not. Now she's independent. I don't really know who funds her show. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to comment. But she certainly is. I've heard her say some things that would probably upset a few Israeli propagandists out there. But she's mainly, I think, in line.
She's in line with kind of everything else going on,
I think.
So I watched this video. I think a lot of people have seen it. We're going to play it real quickly. But there was this video of Jillian Michael kind of rage quitting. And after she rage quit her show, because Anna, how do you say her last name? Anna
Kasparian.
Anna Kasparian was pushing her on the whole Israeli thing. And she kind of rage quits. She leaves her own show. And then you had her on, which was interesting too. So first,
by the way, before you play that, I just want to say that interview was scheduled a month in advance.
Oh, okay. Backtracking. All right.
I'm not backtracking anything. I'm just saying that it just worked out in that she rage quit and then came on our podcast, but that was scheduled ahead of time for the record.
So it was not, you didn't have her on because she rage quit. She was already supposed to be on. It just happened to be that she rage quit.
Exactly. Which
all right, let's watch her rage quit real quick.
Netanyahu is a bad guy. And he wanted to make it seem like, no, we were all great. We were good. We had a great relationship.
Little did we know behind the scenes,
I don't
there
know
was a
how
lot
every
of pressure
show
toward
ends up being
Netanyahu.
about how do we bash Israel. This is not for me. I am not interested in this.
Okay,
I love you
know.
guys.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Let's be good.
I
Let's
have
be good about
zero
precious
interest
Israel. Let the
in
country
fucking
committing a
every show
genocide.
doing
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
I have zero. I think you guys are great. Fundamentally disagree with you about every show doing this. I'm sorry.
Cool. So can we continue the conversation?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
So she just completely rage quits from her own show, which is wild. This thing goes viral. People are like, why is she rage quitting? And then you have her on, and then you ask, and then you're having this conversation about kind of her rage quitting and having a conversation about kind of anti-Semitism, the rise of, well, just play this clip real quick.
Do you see a rise in anti-Semitism, period?
There's a rise in anti-Semitism. The question is, how do you solve that problem? Because here's the problem with the Israeli state is they continue to use Jews as a shield. I've seen them do this many times.
I hear you.
Then when you have people who don't really understand the issue, like common Americans, right? And if you keep saying Israel are Jews and Jews are Israel, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Then people who don't really understand the issue are going to say, well, I see Israel bombing a bunch of children. That is a fact. So that means the Jews are bombing a bunch of children. So that means Jews are bad.
What about Hamas's charter of death to all Jews and from the river to the sea? Like, where is the equal concern?
There is concern there, and I think the people who really know it, they will point out that, well, Hamas was funded by Israel. Netanyahu funded it. And that would be the counter argument to say,
Okay,
if you look at the wider
this is what I mean when I say I'm not an expert. I couldn't even begin to push back on you because that's the first time I've heard that.
Right. So the historical context of Hamas is that they were propped up by the Israeli government to create this kind of terrorist organization on the other side to say we can't deal with these people versus the Palestinian Authority type of government.
A conspiracy theory, or is that
No, this has been proven in mainstream reporting. This is widely documented.
See, James, I don't know that stuff. And I will happily sit here and let you tell me that stuff.
So she basically says, I don't know, but I really get mad and I push back on this all the time, but actually don't understand it. Is that how you took it?
Well, so first off, I want to say I like Jillian Michaels. I think she's an honest person and she's trying to go about it in, I think, an honest way. I don't think she's one of those people who are paid off by AIPAC or some other Zionist organization to do this kind of thing. I think she just genuinely feels this way. As far as,
But she does work for PBD and produced by PD, which is kind of really Zionist aligned and adjacent. So kind
true,
of,
but
not really.
PBD just had on Nick Fuentes, though.
Yeah, but it was.
But Nick is pivoting.
Like,
you're saying Nick is pivoting. We can get into that thing.
Yeah, we'll get into that too. But that was a pivot there.
Yeah. Okay. No, I hear what you're saying. No, PBD is 100% on the take in terms of the Zionist money. But I think she's genuine in the sense that, like, yes, maybe she's a part of that, not because they're paying her, but because it may be just naturally aligned. And I think where she's coming from is probably like a genuine, she like doesn't know. I mean, this isn't her space. Like this is more, she's like a fitness person in general. Like she knows a lot about health. And that's where we first connected was through the Maha stuff, right? With RFK Jr. and things like that. And I just think this is a topic where she doesn't know a lot about the topic, but she has really strong feelings. Probably because of her background. Like, I think she's half Jewish, half Arab. She's like a little bit in the middle and she's trying to figure it out. I try to view people in good faith until proven otherwise. And I haven't seen her really take Israeli money. I haven't seen that kind of thing. Whereas other people I know, they're posting stuff because they're going on like some propaganda tour and then all of a sudden they change the position.
But isn't that really indicative of kind of how the internet works and how the podcast works right now? Is they're like, oh, well, like we're going to take a side or we don't really know because, that's why we're not going to speak on it because we don't really understand it. But at the same time, like that's their job. Like she hosts a political show. And this is one of the hottest topics that everyone talks about all the time. Don't you think it's just like intentionally not knowing? How do you not know that there are, like, I understand if she like took her side hard, but to be like, oh, I don't really know. It's like, all right, then what are you doing with your show? What are you actually talking about? And how do people take you seriously? I don't know.
Well, 100%. I think that's 100. I mean, I have to agree with you. If you're going to talk about these topics, I would expect people to be more informed. And then, hey, if she's willing to have me on and have some of this conversation, I'm happy to go on. Right. and have at least a little bit of dialogue. Now I have her on the record saying that, okay, now I've heard that Hamas was once propped up by Israel, right, to create a terrorist state on the other side, quote unquote, a terrorist state. Some people reject that. Some people say it's a resistance movement, whatever. But to create a side that Netanyahu can say, I don't want to negotiate, where they can't be negotiated with. So that's why we have to do all the things that we have to do. And so at the very least, she can't use that excuse again.
Because the allegation or the theory is that Netanyahu funds Hamas by funneling $1 to $2 billion via Qatar, right? And then it goes into Hamas and they fund it. Is that what it is? Like I know it a little bit. That's my understanding of it, but maybe you have a deeper understanding.
That's my understanding as well, that the money is funneled through Qatar. So when people say, oh, Qatar funds Hamas, there's actually more to that, is that Israel also is a part of that deal. I don't know all the details of like how much money exactly is being transferred, but this has been widely reported by the New York Times and also the Times of Israel. One of the first articles that came out after October 7th was an article in the Israel Times saying, hey, we've been propping up Hamas. This is now blown up in our faces.
And, she's like, I don't know. But then we see that the ADL come out and they're like, hey, people are getting really mad at us and people are really angry. And the anti-Semitism is rising, especially amongst the youth. And this is a huge problem. And they do this survey, right? And
Which is
play that
100%
clip.
bullshit, by the way. Those surveys are bullshit. The
Yeah,
ADL.
like who are they asking, by the way? Let's just play the clip real quick, Will.
This year,
just so we have a little bit of context.
ADL's Global 100 survey of anti-Semitic attitudes around the world found a 46% shift. 46% of the adult population, 2.2 billion people, harbor elevated levels of anti-Semitism. That's nearly double the rate that we saw a decade ago. For the first time since we started tracking these attitudes in the 1960s, the younger generation is more likely to hold elevated anti-Jewish views than their parents or grandparents. Let me repeat that. The younger generation is more likely to be anti-Semitic than the older one.
And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, like the entire world, especially the younger generation, they've seen buildings filled with women and children blown up in HD. And it's like, maybe that's why people are mad at you. You know what I mean? Like, it's everywhere.
Hey, that's fair. I tweeted this out. I saw that video too. And I tweeted out, well, you've been head of the ADL for about a decade. So since these numbers have been going up, so since you've taken over as the head of ADL, you're saying that anti-Semitism has basically doubled. So as the CEO, shouldn't you lose your job because you're doing a really bad job at reducing anti-Semitism, right? Any other company, imagine if you're the CEO of McDonald's or whatever corporation, your sales has gone down 50%. You would 100% lose your job. Here in this situation, he should lose his job. I'm just saying he's not doing a good job. If that is their actual goal, right? I'm like, is that the actual goal of the ADL? Is it to reduce the anti-Semitism or is it to do something else?
What is the goal of the ADL? Because I saw you do a actual documentary on the origins of the ADL and how it started, why it started, and kind of how it's merged and to become what it is today. Maybe you can walk people through like what actually was the ADL.
Well, I'll give people the skinny on it, right? It was founded after the alleged murder, like Leo Frank, this Jewish businessman from Georgia, allegedly murdered or raped and murdered a young girl. And they were saying that the trial was marred in anti-Semitism, and that's why he was convicted and eventually lynched and this and that. And then that's why they needed to start this civil rights organization, quote unquote, civil rights organization that fought for, the safety of Jewish people, and then eventually morphed also into like, oh, we need to be more inclusive towards all kinds of races. But after the founding of Israel, it then just became an Israeli spy organization where they started to spy on all kinds of civil rights leaders, including people like Martin Luther King Jr. and all the other Black rights movement people, as well as people who are anti-apartheid in South Africa. They started spying all these people and then giving the information, selling it to people, the government of South Africa, also giving it to the Israeli government, because they knew that if, let's say, people started turning on South Africa, Israel might be the next target. So I think it's very, very odd for a civil rights organization to be pro-apartheid. And that is what the function of the ADL is to me today, is a spy organization for Israel, and also to be a Israeli, attack dog essentially in the United States, but disguised as a civil rights organization. Because if you think about it as an industrial complex, right? There's industrial complexes all over the place. Anti-Semitism also has an industrial complex, in that in order for that organization to survive, and they have a super nice office in New York, high rise, millions of dollars every year in just the rent alone, and they have all the other expenses. In order for your organizations to continue to grow, to continue to gain more influence, you need anti-Semitism to increase. And the analogy that I make is similar. In California, we have the homeless industrial complex, where we pour billions of dollars every year to solve a problem that can't be solved by any of these groups, because if they solve them, then their jobs disappear. And same for this group right here. I think they go about it in a super bad faith method. So that's my take on it.
So you think that they're funding both sides of this?
Funding both sides of what? Both
Of
sides
kind of the anti-Semitism. So they're helping create the anti-Semitism. At the same time, they're cracking
100%.
down and
Yeah,
trying to
there
catch
have been
the anti-Semitism.
documented reports of the ADL. There's linking it back. You can Google it, but they're linking back like people drawing swastikas or whatever. You hear of these things happening, and it's actually just, I don't know if you could consider this a false flag. It's not quite the false flag, but it's basically them doing this perpetrated attack against Jews, and then saying that there's an increase in anti-Semitism.
So if you had to say, like, who is being funded by the ADL to kind of promote this online, who do you think that would be? Do you have people in mind that you would say, okay, they're like actually paid to be anti-Semitic?
That's a good question. I don't know, actually. I haven't really thought about that. That's not a thought that's crossed my mind, to say, oh, okay, these people are being pushed to be anti-Semitic. I haven't looked at that. I more so know them from like doing random acts of anti-Semitism. That has been documented. I don't know of anybody specifically that they're propping up to say, hey, I want you to be a super anti-Semitic person. I mean, maybe you would be a good candidate for that, potentially, you and Peter. ADL podcast.
Dude, well, I think it was last year. I think I've told the story. It was like last year, and I was having a conversation with a friend about the dreidel.
Yeah.
For some reason, the word dreidel came up, and I was like, man, I don't even actually know how that game is played. I don't really know anything about it. I just know it's kind of a game that they play during Hanukkah. So I Googled it, and my Google result told me that dreidel is a Jewish gambling game. And I was like, huh, that doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? And I asked my friend who I was on the phone with, and he Googled it, and he got like the official response. I was like, wait a second, why is my Google telling me that this is a Jewish gambling game? And the person I'm talking to gets the real response of what a dreidel is. So then I called another friend. I was like, hey, dude, can you just Google dreidel real quick? He's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Just do it and tell me what they recommend. And they got a regular response. I asked a bunch of people. I'm the only one that got dreidel is some gambling game. And I'm thinking like, dude, I think Google is trying to radicalize me.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
I'm doing a search right now. I'm doing a search right now. It is a four-sided spinning top played during the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. Nothing about a gambling.
Nothing about gambling. No one gets gambling. I got gambling. And
You got
this was
gambling.
at the same
Are you a
exact
gambler?
time.
Are you a gambler though? Is Google
No.
optimizing?
No,
You're not a gambler. Okay.
I don't gamble. And this was at a time where, like this is like a private browser. This is like I got VPN on, like all this stuff, they shouldn't know. But somehow my Google results are giving me, hey, the Jews are gambling on Hanukkah. And I'm like, this can't be right. You know what I mean? Like maybe they are, but this can't possibly be the official Google. Like, some people ask like the first result,
I
I'm
mean,
thinking
those
like, dude,
things,
they are
that's
targeting me.
bizarre.
They are trying to radicalize me, maybe.
That is one thing that I am thinking about now that I'm entertaining more and more, because all of this stuff about Israel coming out and them doing what I would consider really awful and horrific and disturbing things seem to be just kind of out in the open. They're just saying it. It's like, we're going to do the surveillance on you, or we've now they just got caught with like spying through Microsoft or something. I don't know all the details around that. And I'm just thinking, okay, do they want us to know? Like Netanyahu's out there saying, now we have TikTok, so we're going to be able to do all this propaganda. Why would they be saying those things publicly, right? They already know people don't like them. That's not going to really help. So are they just trying to get us to hate them more? That
Is
is a
it
thought that I'm entertaining more and more.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fun both sides of the war thing.
Fun both sides. The theory that I heard actually was something about like some military strategist. This was some professor clip that I saw.
Professor
Of how,
Jang.
which is that what it is? I have no idea.
Professor Jang.
The river behind your back. I don't know. It was an Asian guy,
people
so I
have
don't
been
know.
mentioning him recently. Professor Jang.
I don't know if it's the guy. Is it an Asian guy? He's talking about fighting with the river at your back.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's exactly
and he's saying, okay, so that's the clip that I saw as well. He's been going around. I'm sure he's now fired from his job. I haven't checked in on him. We should check in on him.
No, he's like some professor that teaches in Beijing, actually, which is interesting.
But he's teaching in English, though.
Yeah, but he's a university professor in Beijing.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because that's what they teach in Chinese colleges.
But it seems pretty close to the truth. I mean, it seems to be a theory that kind of makes sense.
Because the theory is about how the Chinese military fights. Is that they typically fight, and they're like, oh, everyone knows that the Chinese, when they fight and they go to war, they fight with the river in their back.
That's not true. I don't think that's true. I think that's a Hail Mary strategy based on what I've read. It's not like they automatically retreat to the river and hope, to use that as their energy to fight. I think that's like, okay, if you're outnumbered, that's like the military strategy. If you're outnumbered, then you do that to try to overcome.
They have nowhere to go.
Exactly. So that's just, I don't know if that's their, I don't think that's the Chinese strategy, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not a military guy, but I'd be hard pressed to believe that that's the first thing they do is automatically retreat to a river.
Going to the back. I'm going to the back, guys. See you guys out there. Dude, I saw this thing about how Israel spent something like $200 million in 2025 and buying PR, advertisements, paying influencers, paying for bot farms. Like they were literally signing contracts that say that, hey, you guys are going to bot the content and you're going to bot the comments and you're going to bot it so that it increases the reach. They spent like $200 million. And then you see this, and then you see the clip in the video of all these influencers hanging out with Bibi. Can we play that one real quickly, Will?
You said, we talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant. The woke right.
Nervous laughter by everybody.
They're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're but they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community. They're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. X. Exactly.
That's cool.
Very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpart? Yes.
And wait, did you hear when he asked like, what is the most consequential purchase? Somebody in there said bots. Did you hear that?
Oh no, I missed it.
Somebody, some influence. I don't know. It was obviously behind the camera, but people were yelling out like whatever, followers. Somebody said bots.
Like if any other country in the world came to the United States and said, "Hey, I want to meet with your influencers, and hey class, this is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to say," because he literally refers to them as class, like he's teaching them. Right? It's not a discussion. It is not a conversation. It is giving orders. Hey, class, this is what we need to worry about. This is what we need to do. He is taking a position of authority, and he is teaching and indoctrinating the people and putting them, getting ready to go out into the world. If any other country did this, people would be like, dude, what the hell is going on here? I don't think there would be any people would be furious. And then BB comes, and he's not even like ashamed of it, Well,
that's what I'm saying. Is like, how could he not know how this comes across? He's out, he's out and about, and he's telling the world what he's trying to do. He's like, I am trying to manipulate you, and we need to do this together. That's when I think, okay, do they want us to know this? Are they trying? Is there a thing to radicalize us so much, and then they justify maybe the anti-Semitism laws that haven't quite all passed that they want to pass? Is that the plan here? Is to make more and more people anti-Semitic, so then those laws can pass?
I mean, I'm like super black-pilled, and I see all these federal agents mobilizing throughout the country. And I think the fact that they haven't implemented and rolled out finally all these anti-Semitism laws is because they're just not in place to take care of it just yet.
They can't enforce it yet?
They can't enforce yet, but they're working on it. They have to normalize the idea of federal troops within the borders. You have National Guard going into the cities. You have ICE rolling around, just asking people for their identification, checking what they're doing. You have Oracle, which we'll discuss, going into all the social media companies and getting all the data and categorizing people. Like, there's still a lot of pieces that have to be put in place before they can be like, all right, you said this, we're going to arrest you. It's not there yet, but all the pieces, you can see them coming. I think today I saw this video of Pam Bondi talking about how they just released 200 anti-domestic terrorist agents or people throughout the country, anti-terrorist force, something like this. They have anti-terrorist force, have 200 agents that are going to go throughout the country now, and they're in charge of making sure that nothing goes bad. So we see the mobilization of all these pieces. It's just a matter of time before they're like, okay, hey, the immigration thing, like, we're done with that. That's over. What do we do with all these troops we have? Because never in the history of the country do they create more power and take more power and create more agents and federal divisions and then be like, oh yeah, we're just going to remove them. They don't actually do that. I mean, remember when Biden was like, I want to create 87,000 new IRS agents. And Trump during the election was like, oh, I can't believe he's going to have 87,000 new IRS agents. Like, they're coming after you. And then what did he do? He gave them all their jobs back. He's like, wait a second, we had 87,000 of them? Like, what are we firing them for? Power doesn't give up power. It never happens.
They're not going to reduce.
No.
And I have heard, I'd be curious to maybe you've talked about this, but I have heard people say, hey, this is because they're turning the military inwards domestically because we no longer have that power projection overseas. We can't just deploy the military overseas the way we used to, like during the Iraq War 20 years ago. We're not as powerful. But in order to keep the military industrial complex humming, then we're just going to redeploy them domestically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that war was always historically about number of soldiers that you have, right? Number of bodies actually mattered. But with the internet, with technology, with the emergence of drones and AI and all these things, it's not as important. Actually, small countries can defend themselves pretty well now because it's more of a digital war, it's more of a psychological war, it's more of a narrative war. And having more people doesn't actually make that much of a difference. But what do you do with all these troops?
You got to put them somewhere.
You got to put them to work somewhere. You're not going to cut are they going to cut the military budget? You know,
it would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
It would be nice
cut
to
the
at
military
least
budget,
right size the budget, right? That's what we were talking about,
But they never
we obviously
do.
I mean, I'm not a person who says we got to get rid of the military. I say, hey, well, let's give the military what they need to defend the country. If it happens that we shall be attacked, but we don't need all this extraneous spending that we can't really even account for still.
I mean, who are we protecting ourselves from attack?
Well, they say it's the Islamic terrorists, man. I mean, Laura Loomer was out, whatever. She was saying shit about how there's sleeper cells or some bullshit,
It's like the perfect excuse to mobilize the troops that they have in position now. Oh, look, there's more sleeper cells here. There's a terrorist over here. Oh yeah, hey, we got to get those people that came through the border here. We need to worry about the anti-Semitic people over here. It's like, okay, huh? Good thing you guys have all these troops inside the borders to make that take care of it really quickly. Like, aren't we fortunate?
I'm blessed. We're blessed every day for the leadership of Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi.
They got the we touched on the TikTok thing earlier, and I don't do a lot of TikTok anymore. Actually, I got flagged on TikTok. There was a time I was like crushing TikTok, and
me too. We all had that period of time.
Yeah, and I went through a period because I saw you recently had a few videos removed. There was a time where they were removing every fourth video that I put up, and they weren't even giving me strikes for them. They were just deleting them. Every fourth video, they would just delete. And they just kept on deleting them. And then eventually one day I logged into my TikTok and I was banned. And typically when you get banned, you have the option to kind of, contest it. I didn't get the option.
Really?
It was just gone. Yeah. No option. I can't log back in. Everything was gone. And somehow, through a friend of a friend, I got it back. And since I got it back, it's toast. There's nothing I can do. I can't go anywhere. It doesn't let me do anything. But I see a lot of people on TikTok still. I mean, it's really important to, especially the younger generation. I think TikTok is where news travels really fast. Although a lot of it's AI generated now, so it's really hard to decipher what's even real on there. It's a problem. But they come in and they're like, okay, we don't want the Chinese to own TikTok. Fair. We want it to be the US owned. Okay. So our solution is that we're going to let Larry Ellison own it. And I'm like, huh. Okay. Okay. Interesting
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
events.
could you not make it less obvious? Like, do you have to pick the guy that is the largest private donor of the IDF? Does it have to be that guy, right? Can you pick somebody else who can do the same thing that you want, but a little bit less obvious?
I mean, it's literally a guy that believes in pre-crime. It's literally a guy that wants to create AI-generated mRNA vaccines for people. It's this guy. He may be like one of the worst, and all of a sudden he's the richest man in the world now.
He is, yeah. Or is
And
maybe the
this,
second, number two. I think he might be number two.
I think he's one now. I think that was the
Is he?
news that he became number one.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, he's like in charge of TikTok, and he's going to get TikTok.
Yeah.
Where's that clip? Do you have that clip of Larry Ellison? Will
Citizens will be on their best
seen it.
behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on, and it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. We have, I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras. It's AI that's looking at the camera. No. You can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm is going to go off. It's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. If there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop, a drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
This guy wants to have drones in the air to police the population. It's like super dystopian. He wants to have cameras on every car. He wants to have everything reported to a central location. He wants to track what people do. He wants to have input into the algorithm and own TikTok. He owns a part of X. He has all the data. And this is a guy that we're like, let's put him in charge of TikTok.
He had already been in charge of TikTok, to be quite honest with you, since Project Texas. If you guys have followed the TikTok story, you already know that even before any kind of deal was finalized, Oracle had already been monitoring and processing the US data. That's already been going on since, what was it, like 2022 or something like that? So they essentially had it already. Now they're just making it formal.
And I saw this clip of him talking about how even within Oracle, they're going to require everyone to no longer use passwords, and they want to use facial recognition and biometrics only. So everything, all their systems will go to everyone that uses an Oracle system will go into facial recognition and your thumbprint, because biometrics is more reliable, is the idea, and passwords are not safe. Fine, passwords are not safe, but do we really want biometric IDs? Because we're seeing this in Vietnam, where they canceled people's bank accounts for not getting biometric IDs. We see this in UK, where they just rolled out their digital ID that everyone has to walk around with this Brit ID now. I mean,
although it was nice to hear some pushback here from the US, right? Some guys I saw, Ron DeSantis, Ted Cruz tweet saying this is dystopian shit. We don't want this here. So that was nice to hear.
I mean, it seem like they're just saying, yeah, the US would never do it, but while they're working on it, so
while
that
they're
it
working,
makes it
that's
seem
true.
Yeah, while they're working on it, so it makes it seem like
because the reality is
on the population.
You don't need it. You don't need to formalize that. It already kind of exists because people's data is already everywhere. You don't need to have a formal digital ID because we already give digital ID everywhere, right? There's cameras, like he was saying, there's cameras everywhere. We're posting shit on the internet. They know exactly where we are at any given time. You don't need to formalize that. So you can be publicly against something like that while in the back room implementing that already.
I mean, I saw this clip of him saying that, the Oracle system, we say we're recording, and then people say, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, stop recording, and we'll turn off the recording. But really, we don't turn it off. We just tell you it's off. and then we're actually recording, but we just make sure that the recording is somewhere where no one else can see, but we need to still record. I'm thinking like, huh? What? What? He's
That's
like he's like 81 years old. I don't know if you saw. He's got like this 33-year-old Chinese girlfriend.
no,
Have you
I
seen
didn't
that?
know that. No.
He's got a 33-year-old Chinese girlfriend
Wow.
or wife. No, he married her. So
Really? That's insane. I typically don't get that's like gossip world. So Larry
well, I
Ellison
feel like
wife.
it's relevant, you know, because if something happens to him,
Oh, Dolin do.
yeah, if
Okay.
something happens to him, then she kind of owns his empire now. You know, is that
Yeah.
interesting?
Wow. I mean, she's a cutie.
Mm,
Chinese looks like a
yeah.
Chinese spy, though. I gotta be honest with you. People call me a Chinese spy, but that is how you actually get the Chinese spying done. Somebody who looks like that, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're not honeypotting anybody.
Yeah, let's be honest.
You know, no one's like, oh, James, like I trust him. I'm just gonna tell him all my secrets, and he's gonna, you know. So they say TikTok is supposed to be owned by American companies, and then they pick this, you know, Israeli, very
All of
Israeli,
them.
pro-Israel, whatever. But I was looking through the list of the buyers, and
Okay.
in it was a company called MGX. Have you seen this?
MGX. Is that the one from UAE?
Yeah, it's the UAE Abu Dhabi Sovereign Fund.
Hmm.
They're going to take 15%.
Interesting.
I'm
Are
like,
they
wait,
gonna have it?
I thought the whole purpose was that it has to be US owned, but then why is the UAE Sovereign Fund doing it? And then you find out that they gave $2 billion to Trump's crypto project.
Ah.
So you give $2 billion to Trump's crypto project, and then you get to buy into TikTok at an extremely low valuation, by the way. Because
It
people,
was a 14 billion. Is that
yeah,
low?
people thought it'd be 40 billion.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be $40 billion valuation. And then they're like, no, actually, do you know what? We've decided that it's going to be 14 billion. You can buy in at 14. I was like, wait a second. You're letting all your friends buy in at a discount?
Well, that's what Trump does. Apologize about that.
It's okay.
My bad. But that's what Trump does, you know? He's transactional,
Mm.
which makes him that's the only thing you can kind of predict about him is that the transactional thing works. And as long as I think TikTok, they don't really care about the ownership. They care about the content.
Controlling the algorithm.
Yes. As long as the US Oracle is in control of the content, they can give a shit about the ownership. Right. I think that China, I read, I don't know if this is true or not, because I didn't look into it deeply, but China will still get 50% of the profit, even though they only own less than 20% of the company.
It's not about money.
It's not about money.
It's not about ownership. Because they're giving 15% to a foreign country, literally a foreign country sovereign fund. They just want to control the algorithm. And
I get it.
What is it?
Yeah.
What does it mean for the algorithm? Because how much will they affect it? And because the US will have its own algorithm, I mean, I've said this before, which is
sounds very Chinese, by the way.
It sounds very Chinese. We only see what they want us to see, and we're blocked out from the rest of the world. They're like, it's like this, you know, in China, they're like, oh, it's this great firewall, you know? Mm-hmm. They can't see the rest of the world. They don't know what's going on, and they have no idea. And they just live in their own world, and ha, ha, ha. Like, but it's like, dude, we're doing the same exact thing here.
Yep. That is, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So then, I mean, so in terms of the algorithm, so I noticed sort of immediately after that switchover, there was not a lot of things that were able, I mean, if I spoke anything about Israel, it's donezo.
Really?
And so, yeah. And I've had 2 videos taken down, and I've had 3 videos since been up. Like the Jillian Michaels I posted on TikTok, that's up. But maybe because that's not really, I mean, that's just giving the other side of the story. So that's still up. But if I've talked to creators, even just reporting and saying Larry Ellison owns TikTok now is Those videos are getting taken down.
Really?
Yeah.
But why would that even get taken down? I mean, it's just a fact, you know?
It's an anti-Semitic fact though, or something like I don't know what I don't know exactly know what's going on, but I just know that you pretty much can't talk about Israel on there anymore. And my account, because it's in a precarious position, I'm being forced to censor. I mean, it's literally working, right? What they want, it's happening because I'm having to. I don't post some of those videos. Exactly. I'll post them on YouTube. I'll post them on Instagram because they seem to be okay on there right now. I don't know exactly. The censorship seems to be swinging in different directions. Instagram seems to be kind of a wild west at the moment. We'll see how long that goes for. But TikTok, I know if I put that on there, it's going to get taken down, strike, or the account could be banned immediately. That's the thing about TikTok is you don't know. It could go from your account could be in good standing and it could be banned the next day. You have no idea.
Yeah, when I was going through my struggles with TikTok, there is a section within the settings where you can see if you're flagged, if you're like yellow versus whatever. I've never had a yellow or red.
Mm-hmm.
It's been green the entire time, except
the one video you make.
Well, no, except they would constantly delete my videos.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, how am I getting my videos deleted? And how am I getting like shadow banned? And how am I getting reduced in reach? And why are you taking away my kind of pay for putting up TikTok videos? But yet you say that my account is in full good standing.
It's wild. I don't know what the hell goes on at TikTok. I've tried to ask them about it. I've been at a couple TikTok events. They haven't invited me back since. I literally, the last time I went, I did like an undercover video just asking people about whether or not China controls the algorithm. And then I made a whole mini documentary about it. I haven't been invited back to any TikTok event since.
Is it true that the former IDF soldier is in charge of the content? Is that kind of fake internet news?
That's not fake internet news. That's reported in the Jerusalem Post, bro.
Is it Jerusalem Post legit?
It's a legit newspaper in Israel. I don't know legit in terms of the bias, but they certainly, if you read the Jerusalem Post, it's very interesting because they have every year, right? They put out like, oh, the 50 most powerful Jews in the world, that kind of thing. And we just make jokes. And whoever, right? It's like Sheryl Sandberg, Mark Zuckerberg, these kinds of people. And I'm like, if that list came out in any other newspaper, imagine the backlash, right? The New York Times, the 50 most powerful Jews in the world. You know what I mean? An insane list to compile.
Damn, can we find that list?
What? You can look.
Yeah, I think they just recently published it, didn't they?
Yeah. Most powerful Jews. There it is. 50 most influential Jews. My mistake.
Well, yeah, if they said powerful, then that would cause more backlash, probably.
Yes. Sorry. They're very influential.
Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to put those words together. I got...
Oh, Sam Altman. Jesus Christ.
Is he number one?
He's number one.
The AI god?
Uh-huh.
Is that...
Who may have... Did you see that thing with him and Tucker? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was wild, right?
That was wild. Dude, I think Tucker was trying to gotcha him a little bit. Except Tucker doesn't understand AI that well. So he couldn't really gotcha him. And I think the idea was to paint AI that it's like demonic and whatever his kind of his agenda and goal was. And I really hated Sam Altman before that interview. And I watched it and I was like, huh, he's actually kind of interesting.
I didn't watch I didn't watch the whole interview. I only saw the clip where he was grilling him about the OpenAI whistleblower potentially being murdered. I didn't see the rest of it. So you saying the rest of it was interesting?
Yeah, after that, it got actually interesting. He was like, what jobs are going to be taken away? And he was like, well, I think jobs that require human touch, like nurses, their jobs will be safe for a very long time because people want a nurse that's a human.
Yeah.
But people like, if you are in customer service, you're probably screwed, right? And I thought he had some interesting ideas that actually weren't as crazy as I thought he would be. It's not like when I watch Larry Ellison talk, it's really dystopian. When I listen to Elon talk about AI, it's really dystopian. He's like, oh yeah, artificial and general intelligence is gonna take over the world, and you have like a 75% chance of being owned by bots. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But he's a lot more conservative in like his outlook on how big AI will become, which I found interesting because everyone else is like, dude, AI is going to take over everything. And he's like, no, I think actually that people are going to learn how to use it and it's going to become like a tool. And I didn't expect that from him, to be honest.
Well, do you think he's being genuine?
I mean, I don't know.
And let's say he does, because he was always known as the altruistic AI guy, right? I mean, that's what OpenAI was all about until very recently. And so the question is, in order to fulfill that altruistic vision of AI, is it cool to murder a few people along the way to make sure that keeps happening?
I mean, that's like the question for everyone, right?
You're right. It's like this guy's getting in our way, man. Right?
Do the ends justify the means? I mean,
for the record, allegedly. Okay, for the record.
Allegedly. I don't know. I think the whole AI thing is really interesting, and
because I use AI. I think you use AI. I'm sure, right? Yeah. In some capacity, just because there are ways to leverage it where I think it could enhance the workflow and productivity. But the question is, where's the line? Is there somebody going to draw the line? It's like, hey, you can't use AI for this or that,
I think the overall meta of AI is really dangerous because people are going to lose their ability to be creative, to think, because they are letting AI make their decisions. They are letting AI take their creative things. So, for example, people used to like make their own thumbnails. People used to draw their own art. People used to actually sit down and make music. And these things were actually good for humanity because I know it sounds really gay, but at the same time, it's what gets your brain moving and thinking and being creative. And it's what separates you from like being human and not. And AI will take over. It's one thing if AI takes over the calculations, it's like having a calculator. But now we are outsourcing the creative to AI. Everything you see is AI generated. Even most people's ideas are AI generated. I saw the picture of Trump giving his UN speech. And there was a picture and you could see kind of his text, right? And in the text, they were using M dashes. And I'm thinking like, dude, there's no way Trump or a speechwriter writes with M dashes. They would use like spaces or tabs or things like this. They're not going out of their way to put M dashes. And I'm like, fuck. The president of the United States is
you're on
AI.
board with that M dashes fully. Because even before I started using AI, I used M dashes because I thought it was a nice, especially in tweets, because I think it's a nice way to emphasize a point, especially if you like write a sentence and boom, and then you have the ending point after the M dash. I think that's like punctuating it nicely. So I don't know if every single M dash in a speech or in a written form is necessarily generated by AI. Because you got to understand the AI is learning from humans, right? It's scraping all the things that have been written before, and then maybe optimizing it. So that could be part of it. I'm not defending AI, but I just think some of the end dashes are based on what the human uses are before, and it's very effective, and they're trying to use it.
Yeah, there's something weird about the M dash because a lot of people could just use a dash.
Like one single dash?
Yeah.
Like a short dash?
Like a short, quick red dash. Who uses M dashes? And I actually had someone say, I talked about it before, like, oh yeah, I'm a writer and I use M dashes from occasionally. I'm like, okay. But I don't think Trump's using M dashes. You know what I mean?
Well, Trump's not writing anything. Okay. He's dictating that to somebody and they're writing it down in his voice.
The M dash is more, if you're a writer, it's more for kind of the artistic nature of it. But if you're writing someone's speech, it doesn't provide that value. Like, why would I write a speech and be like, hey, read this, and then put in a bunch of M dashes? It doesn't make any sense. I would just put in another line. Pause
That's
here,
true. Pause
dot,
here.
dot, dot, something
That's
else.
a fair
It's
point.
little
That's a
more.
fair point. Well, I do think a lot of things are now written in AI or by AI, right? Because I used to be in consulting, and I've heard from friends that are still in the biz that literally 80-90% of the PowerPoint slides and whatever the text is all just AI generated. They just say, hey, can you do something and write like how to optimize this chart and this and that, and they just put it in AI and then it spits it out. Or it's like, oh, I need a summary of this chart. Can you just write it for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of use cases for AI. I do use a lot of AI. I run a local AI. I use Olama, and I run most of my stuff locally because I don't like this idea of everything I ask to be centralized and centralized database. If you guys are using AI, that's something you should definitely do because anything you put into a central database can be used against you in a court of law always, whenever they want, and they can just take all that information. And you know how law works, the government works, they can selectively choose a question you ask, like, oh, look, looks like you were researching how to engrave bullets. Oh, hey, anti-ice or
Which everybody's doing. Which everybody, that was not an
thing.
engraving, by the way. That was just a blue Sharpie.
Blue Sharpie. Can we? Okay. Your Charlie Kirk theory.
Yeah.
Because everyone has one. It's like everyone has their own theory on what happened. I think most people agree that there is some sort of cover up going on. It's just a matter of how deep do you think it goes. What is your Charlie Kirk theory?
My Charlie Kirk theory is that it was a professional hit. Tyler Robinson is not the guy. He is a patsy. And as far as who's behind it, obviously I've thrown out Israel, as have a lot of other people. But it could also be a number, right? I'm also somewhat considering the deep state theory. I don't know if you guys, I think you guys have discussed this, right? Because Charlie could potentially upend the Palantir industrial complex coming up with Peter Thiel and JD Vance. The succession could be interrupted if Charlie so chooses to go in a different direction. But the reason why I am a little bit like I still, even though people say, even Nick Fuentes like there's no evidence of it's Israel, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, these guys are fucking professional assassins here. If they left a trail behind, they wouldn't be very good at their job. And I did hear, I think this was the guy from InfoWars, Harrison Smith. He also said this, and I had a different source. And they were telling me immediately right away, there are people in the Senate and Foreign Intelligence Committee saying, oh, this is potentially Israel. At least they're thinking it. Maybe they don't have any evidence right away, but can you imagine the situation that we are in right now where one of the most prominent, not a politician, but prominent media figures, potential politician gets assassinated, executed out in the open, and people in the Senate Foreign Intelligence Committee, high-ranking member of the Senate, immediately thinks, maybe it was Israel. That's the kind of relationship that we have with them right now.
I mean, there is not a lot of evidence that specifically says it was Israel. I agree.
Except for the mural that was painted immediately. I mean, these are circumstantial things and fun Grok things, right? Where I asked, hey, Grok, how long does it take to paint a mural like this? It's like, well, if you had a professional at it, 8 to 10 hours a day, it would take 3 to 7 days. Like, oh, that's interesting. How do you have a mural the next day?
How do you have a memorial rally in a stadium within like 7 days?
That I can believe. But,
my thinking is that...
Where are you at with this?
Well, I think it's more deep state, but I think deep state, Israel, I think it's all the same thing, actually. I think it's all
right, because if you say CIA, Mossad, there's a very blurred line in between those two groups, right? There's it doesn't, or what is it? There's no end of the CIA, just kind of blurs in with Mossad.
Yeah, it's not only one side doing it. There has to be someone on the inside doing it too. So it's really kind of the same thing. Same thing with 9/11. People are like, oh, the Israelis did 9/11. Well, no, there's like people within this country that allowed it and helped it also. So it's not one side thing. And I think it's really similar here, where it's not, like, I don't think the Israelis flew a Mossad guy to like sit on the roof, do it, and they're like, hey, this is a guy. Like, I don't think that happened. There is a lot of moving pieces to pulling something like this off. But I think it's really interesting because a lot of people are thinking, hey, Israel or the Zionist or kind of this deep state Zionist movement, they really benefit from the death of Charlie Kirk.
They did. And the timing too, right? Because I've heard other people talk about this, and I think it's 100% true that it was a day before September 11th. Those Israeli dancing videos are really going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time, right? I think you talked about this, right? We would have been going through that, and there would have been a bigger and much more robust public reception of those types of videos now versus maybe 2, 3, 5 years ago. Because I was getting ready to go with those videos. You know, I had some things queued up, ready to go.
I mean, even Tucker had his whole like 9/11 documentary ready to go. He's like, oh, okay, I gotta pause this, guys. Like, oh, you know,
right? So they certainly benefit, and I do think. Okay, so this is what I'll say about the Israel thing: is that there's a reason why they get implicated in a lot of these things, is because their whole state is predicated on this kind of bribery and deception, coercion. So then, anytime you have any evidence of somebody saying, "Wow, look at what Israel's doing over there," automatically they're like, oh, Israel has a motive, right? If you die, God forbid, right? If you get slain, like I might be thinking, whoa, well, Matt was, he was quite the noticer, right? And he was gaining more prominence, right? He was maybe going to get this opportunity. Things would be dug out. Oh, Matt Kim, he's about to blow up here. He's about to get a show somewhere. I don't know. And then all of a sudden now he's not here with us anymore. Who would be the ones,
If this is a kind of a trending theory and it's not ridiculous, it's not crazy, it may not be the most likely explanation, but if you don't know for sure the reasoning or who or how it happened, then you have to keep competing theories on the board of possible opportunity.
100%.
But then you see guys like Nick Fuentes, who I kind of actually like a little bit, going, no, it's impossible that it's them. It's impossible that's them. You guys are stupid for even considering it. There's no evidence. How dare you question that? And I'm thinking, like, what just happened here? You know what I mean? Like, how can you say it's impossible? That is a crazy claim to make. You know?
Well, he's thinking. Well, for me, I would think about it from a business perspective. Whereas now there's a gaping hole in the conservative ecosphere of media personalities, and he said, okay, how can I get in this lane? How can I broaden my audience base a little bit? Just, I'm sure you've thought about that, right? It's a business opportunity for him.
I mean, he is doing more of the mainstream media now because of it. They are taking less pressure off from, maybe it was a survival tactic. It could even be simple as that. Right, like, dude, if I go down this road, they're really gonna pin this shit on me. They're really gonna go hard on me. Like, I just have to survive. I need to live to fight another day. I can understand that.
Or maybe he feels like he can't go down that road, right? Because certainly Candace Owens is going down that road, but she has the fuck you money to do it. Maybe Nick Fuentes doesn't have that fuck you money, right? Candace is like, hey, anything short of murdering me, I'm gonna do it. And
I can figure it out.
There's nothing you can do about it.
She has unlimited money.
Exactly. A little different.
I mean, I'm watching kind of, the turning point and how it's expanding and growing. And they got 60,000 new chapters like ready to go. And the same people, they're like, oh yeah, they're indoctrinating our kids in colleges. Are like, oh yeah, but this indoctrination is okay. Right? It's like, how dare the left indoctrinate our kids? So we're going to combat it by indoctrinating your kids. And I'm thinking, how about like no indoctrinate the kids?
How about no indoctrination? Yeah.
How about we just let them figure it out on their own? But then I ran into this kid, Brylan Hollyhead.
Oh, he's the one that's being, I haven't looked into him, but I've seen his video over the last 3 days. I think there's some kind of manufactured hype here because he's now in some private jet saying we're going to expand the college tour. And he's also spouting off super pro-Israeli Hasbara talking points about how he's for Israel forever and how, greatest ally, just the same shit we've been hearing. Very, very interesting.
he's like some trust fund kid who his father donates heavily to the Republican Party, and his dad made his money building low income housing in like white neighborhoods. So you're like, hey, why is all the Section 8 housing coming into my suburb? Well, that's what this guy's dad did.
But did he actually house any low income people, right? Because that's part of my
well, I mean,
all these buildings, they have like 4 units for low income. The rest of it is just market rate, and it's just a way to get good tax credits.
But this kid is kind of, I mean, he was literally unknown, and I think he was on Fox News before. He was doing his rounds.
He looks young. I mean, I don't know how you know how old he is.
He's 19.
Wow. Okay.
He was like, nobody knew he was. His social media was like pretty much dead. He was doing like, I scrolled through it earlier. He was doing like 2 or 3 shares of video. So he was literally like irrelevant to the world of the internet. And then now he's like the face of this Turning Point tour.
Very weird.
Which is weird. And can you pull up this clip? I think it's from like a few months ago. Can you pull up this clip?
What we're seeing going on right now across college campuses all over the country, specifically Yale and Columbia, they're getting shut down and overrun by these anti-Jew protesters, these pro-Gaza protesters, these terrorist sympathizers. That's what they are. Let's call it out for what it is. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's inhumane. Listen, the Democrat Party is being radio silent on this. Why? Because these are their own supporters. And in the case of Ilhan Omar, her actual daughter out there standing in the picket line and protesting us. It's disgusting. And they should be calling it out. It's pretty easy to come on and say, hey, we're pro-Israel, we're pro-Jewish people, we're pro-America. It's that simple. But instead, the Democrats are supporting this anti-Israel message being spouted by their supporters out there in Columbia and Yale. And they're supporting this Death to America chant by letting this continue on. They've got to put a stop to this. On the other hand, Republicans are pro-Israel, we're pro-America, and we're pro-protecting Jewish citizens not only in Israel, but across the world, even here in America. That is our stance. It couldn't be more clear, and their stance couldn't be more disgusting. They've got to act fast, and they need to speak out now.
So this is a
AI,
kid,
man. That's an AI, dude.
This is a kid that they're rolling out to the entire tour. They're the one. He went from completely unknown to kind of one of the most famous conservative voices in the country now. His social media has skyrocketed. They've pumped him up. His Google search is up, I think, like 100,000%. You know, they just made him.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he's not a real person. He doesn't have any. They could also destroy him. And that's the thing with Charlie Kirk. If we were just to put a bookend on that conversation, he was made in very much the same way.
Yes.
So when you are no longer useful to the mob, or you're maybe doing some things that show that maybe you're bucking the leaders, you know, the old guard, that's when your life is in jeopardy. And I think he knew that.
I mean, people don't understand. I don't think people remember, actually. That's literally how Charlie Kirk came up. They found him when he was a kid, approximately the same age, spoke really fast, was moldable, had a certain look to him, and they made him. And it's the same group of people that made Charlie Kirk and made Turning Point. They're the ones that gave the money. It's the same people that funded Daily Wire, funded PragerU, are the same people that funded Turning Point. Except they gave it a little bit of a different spin. So Daily Wire is like unapologetically pro-Israel. Turning Point is like, no, we're pro-Christian, but if you're pro-Christian, you're also pro-Israel. And it's a different way to attract it. It's made to address and go after and infiltrate a different category of people. And they target children. And I agree with some of the things that they say. But that's how the internet works. They give you 80 truths so that they can filter 20 lies, and you can't decipher what is real and what is not. That's how Google works, actually. You know, if you go to your Google search results, there's like 80 things. 80% of the things you see are actually like real, legit things that you were looking for. But there's 20% of those in there that are trying to guide you into a certain way. Like, hey, the Drudel is a gambling game. Why don't you go down that rabbit hole?
That's done deliberately in a lot of ways. I'm not sure about the Google. I have to do some digs on that to see if there's patterns of that repeating itself. So, but the question is that going to work now? It worked 10, 15 years ago with Charlie Kirk. Can they repeat the same thing with this guy?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so. Oh, I think so. 100%. They were showing all over TV and news today was how many people showed up at the college football games with the Charlie Kirk Freedom T-shirt on.
Yeah, Benny Johnson, right? That was his
Yeah.
video.
Number one, where did all these kids get this T-shirt? They didn't go out and all buy them. Yeah, they didn't all buy this T-shirt to go to the game. They were probably giving them away.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And then you get the confirmation bias that says, hey, look, this is a movement, everyone. All the colleges are getting into it, and people are buying into it, going, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, like we're into this. It works.
Yeah, you can astroturf. I mean, it's been around for a long, long time, right? Astroturfing things to fake it till you make it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can put that. But the question now is it going to be as effective, right? The same with the Netanyahu. Is the same type of propaganda going to continue to work? And I'm not as black-pilled as you, but I just feel like it's not as effective anymore because we've seen it. We've seen it before. We've seen it too many times, right? You can see it with the Charlie Kirk assassination, is that now you have a fracturing, right? You have literally a fracturing in mainstream discourse of like what happened to him, right? You have a lot of people still believing, okay, Tyler Robinson is the guy, the text, yeah, it seemed a little weird, but whatever. He seems to be the lone gunman, radical, leftist, trans, lunatic. But there's a lot of, I've talked to people, just random people. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, it's fucking weird. I have a friend, he's like, I'm not a conspiracy guy. It's like, he's not the guy. I don't know who's the guy, but he's not the guy. And you have a lot of other people, more online people are like, it's Israel or it's the deep state. But you're already seeing that fracturing right now. I don't think Netanyahu going out and buying influencers saying how awesome Israel is going to change people's perception of Israel.
But they've already moved the population on, because outside the handful of people that are still looking into this, majority of the population have moved on. Because why? Oh, we got James Comey. We've indicted him.
Yeah,
like, oh, yeah, we got it. We're going after the deep state. Oh, they've already shifted people's attention elsewhere.
100%.
100%.
That's just the nature of, I think, the 24-hour news cycle, or just they're just putting more and more shit out there, so you can't keep up with this. And we don't know if it's planned. Like they could say, hey, this is the time to do Comey, because too many people are talking about the Charlie Kirk still, because it did have a lot of momentum, and I think it still does in a lot of ways. And so maybe now is the time we throw in something else. I think all that stuff, media, I have to believe there's a plan behind it. Now that I'm a little bit in the media, I'm not in that kind of world, but I'm like, okay, I know when to release stuff, when it's going to have maximum impact or whatever. And now it's like, okay, now's the time to distract. Let's go. So that definitely exists.
Yeah, they got the James Comey story going, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, look, I told you he's going to go after the deep state. And then you have, oh, look at all these riots against ICE. Hey, this is what's going on. And all of a sudden, no one's thinking about the shooter anymore. The FBI hasn't released any information. The trans guy that's supposed to be his roommate's like missing.
Was he ever there? Did anybody ever see him in real life?
We don't even know if the guy is real.
Yeah.
They're already there, like reconstructing the site and in the college. They're repaving everything. They're covering up all the information. They're covering up. Everyone's have moved on.
Yeah, the reality is people move on because they got shit to do. I get it, right? They're counting on Americans to be really busy. They move on. But the question is, can you get influencers to move on? I know a lot of people who are still in it, maybe because I'm in that world and they still care about this, but they're influential. And by the sheer fact that they're still staying on the case, that means that, okay, people will hear whatever they're putting out. And so there will be still continuously at least a video or two to stay reminding people, hey, by the way, this seems pretty weird, guys. Like, we don't have any shot of him, even though the camera has it in view where he supposedly would have taken the shot from. Why haven't they released that? Right. That's a lot of people. I've made this. A lot of people have made this point in that you could just rewind the tape 5-10 seconds or 2 minutes, show him getting on the roof, setting the fucking gun up, taking the shot, and then now he's in a full sprint. But no, they only show the full sprint. Why?
Where he drops down the roof with a gun, apparently.
Exactly. That camera has the whole roof. You could see everything from there. And that
and they say they found it in like the woods, but then you find out it's like a little patch of woods, a patch of trees.
It's a patch. It's not even a woods. Yeah, the first article is ridiculous because I had people, my co-host on the podcast that I do. She's like, my sister lives in that town. She's like, there's no fucking woods. It's a fucking high desert. Okay, so then I went on Google Maps. I'm like, yeah, there's a cluster of some trees similar to what you would find in a residential area where there's
in the forest.
Yeah, the forest.
It's like 4 trees.
Yeah. So there's no way he would have had the time. And it was just really weird. The whole thing was really bizarre when you even looked at it. If you just scrutinize that video slightly, you'll see people walking around very calmly in the parking lot. It's like if you just heard a gunshot go off, you're not going to be like just like going about your day. That was supposedly a few seconds after the gun was fired. You would definitely hear that, right? Especially if the rifle that they said was used very loud based on my cursory knowledge of guns. You'd be like, not just like, oh, la-di-da, let's, you'd be like, what the fuck is happening here?
I mean, they
I'm sure
try
you
to
guys
move
gone into this, right? But it's fucking weird.
Yeah, the whole thing is crazy. I think the internet will kind of figure it out. I'm actually really confident because there's so much video from that day. I don't think they're able to capture all of it. I think this is one of the situations that the internet will eventually figure out because it's too public and the internet is undefeated.
True. Right? And Turning Point could figure it out. Turning Point could figure it. That's what Canada's saying, right? Turning Point could figure it out. They have 3 television grade super HD cameras that's filming at whatever it is, 60 frames per second. If they would just release that footage, we can definitely see, okay, where is the shot coming from? Was that the exit wound? Was that the entry wound? Right? Does something come from the back? Was it from the front? Like there are a lot of conspiracy theories that are still floating around that could be debunked if they just release that.
Yeah, they probably don't want you to know. I think they're trying to figure out how quick. I feel like sometimes when they do this, they're trying to figure out how quick the internet moves. They're trying to figure out where they are actually. They're like gauging. Like we have our system. Yeah, we have our system, our centralized system. We paid a shit ton of money for Palantir, and we have the Oracle system going. We have all these places we've invested our money to think that we can manipulate the population. But can we beat the decentralized version of the internet? How do we stack up against them? And I think sometimes that's what they do actually. They're trying to figure it out. They don't know if what they bought is any good. Because in theory, it must be great. They have the best technology. But how does it stack up against millions of people searching through the internet at the same time, looking at the camera angles, thinking collectively? Like, can we beat them? And I feel like sometimes it's a test, actually. They're trying to figure out and gauge where they are. Otherwise, how do they know if their system is any good? How do you roll out to a more dystopian future if you don't know if the system you have is better than what's out there? Like, just because the pamphlet says most comprehensive surveillance system ever, just because a pamphlet says it doesn't mean it's true. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, why can't we pay $5 trillion for this thing? It sucks.
I can guarantee
fucking kids on 4chan figured it out.
The internet, I agree with you 100%. I think the internet will figure this out. Because now we have it's not like the JFK situation, right? People didn't have iPhones film. I mean, imagine JFK assassination and everybody had their iPhones out when he was going by in the motorcade. There'd be all kinds of angles. You'd be able to see where the shot came from. You'd probably be able to use the footage and triangulate exactly the direction of the bullet, how many bullets there were, how many gunshots, or how many shots there were. You would definitely be able to do that. People are working on it right now. I know for a fact.
Yeah, I mean, we have ballistics, we have like flight logs, we have trajectory, we have analysis of video to see if it's AI or modified. I mean, the internet is rolling out every single tool in the tool bag to try to solve this thing. And eventually, I think they're going to figure it out. And the government's like, damn it, maybe we should hire some of them. You know what I mean? Maybe they want a job.
I think
isn't that what they do with hackers? They let hackers hack things.
Yes.
And then they figure out, okay, like that guy's really good. Let's have him work for us. Like, how is this not different? Because it's no longer computer systems. Like, how do they figure out how the internet works, how video works, how social media works, how information travels? And they can figure that out.
Oh yeah, I think yeah. Sometimes it does baffle me. It's like, are they just that behind? Are they still just 20 years behind? And they don't realize that people are smarter or are processing things at a faster rate. They just thought, oh yeah, we'll just say that the bullet, he was a man of steel, and people are just gonna say, all right, cool, I guess he was a man of steel. Like, don't you like even if I was in the fucking news desk, I'd be like, guys, can we do something better than this? Like, unless we have undeniable proof, unless we have the autopsy release, like, can we do better than this?
I think that they put it out there, and they buy and they pay for just the most expensive technology, and they say this is military grade, this is surveillance grade, this is the NSA like goes to like, oh, do you have this certification? Do you have this certification? Are you compliant with this? And they kind of put this bureaucracy in what they buy as far as technology. And they rely so heavily on it because the people that run it and administer it, especially within like organizations, deep state, whatever you want to call, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, actually. They're not technology people. The best technologists in the world aren't working for them. They may be creating their systems, but not working for them. So even if you buy the most comprehensive surveillance in the world, they don't know how to use it. And they're probably thinking, oh yeah, like, dude, like, let's just do it like how we've always done. Like, we have the system. We paid for it, didn't we? I'm sure it'll work. And it's like, fuck.
But I think a lot of it will
they're
be
onto us,
outsourced.
guys.
Yeah. I think with the Palantirs of the world, I think it's going to get better very quickly in terms of the government's ability to implement some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're training. I mean, when everyone knows the way AI works is that you have to feed it data, feed it information, and it learns off the information you feed it. Well, we're feeding it unlimited information. They're seeing how all the neurons of the internet, how it connects, who communicates with who, whose theories go viral, whose theories are making sense. They're mapping it all out right now. And this is a perfect opportunity to do it.
And that's when I get scared. Like when you propose these kinds of theories, which I've heard you kind of go before, which basically they can train us, right? They can train the media people to say certain things or to chase down certain stories that they want us to chase because they know how our brain works. That shit scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah, it's like, talk about this one topic and then we'll just give you a lot of engagement. Yeah. And you're like, yes, this is what people care about. I'm going to talk about this more. But like, you have no idea because we know for a fact they pay for bots. They own the bot farms. They know how this game works, and Google allows it. The algorithm allows it. TikTok allows it. X allows it. Rumble allows it. Everyone allows the botting and the gamification of content and attention. So how do you even know what you're doing is legit?
You don't.
Or the whole thing is manipulated.
Isn't that the dead internet theory?
Yeah. There's no way to know.
Nothing is real. I mean, there is a test you can do for this. Actually, I've thought about it, right? Because supposedly you're getting a certain amount of engagement online, right? Like, people see your content, they know who you are. That, if it was real, should translate into the real world, where you should be able to do some kind of computation of like, okay, based on how many interactions I have in the real world, this is how many people should have heard about this message from me. And you should be able to test for that. If you're going out there, nobody's fucking heard of you, nobody knows what you're saying, okay, then maybe a lot of this is a fake engagement, not real. Because you say, oh, I got 2 million impressions on this, but you don't really know how many people saw it. You don't know how many people those are real impressions, like human eyeballs looking at it versus some bot farm or whatever. So you should be able to go in the real world and test this using like a large scale data set, like a scientific kind of study, where you go, okay, based on the interactions of this guy, this is how many real world people should have seen this message. And through a large scale study, you should be able to figure this out.
When I was making a lot of short form content, people would recognize me. Oh, yeah, like I've seen your videos. Almost everybody that I would meet would say, I seen your videos on Instagram. The amount of people that I've met in the wild that say they found me on X, it's like negligible. It's like zero. The balance is so far off that I'm like, oh shit, I think X is all fake. I think it's mostly bots. I don't think those views are real. Because you don't meet people. You know, I've met people, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast or I watch your podcast. You know, even today, I went to Five Guys and the guy comes up like, oh, are you Matt Kim? Oh yeah, I watch your podcast. They're like, oh, cool. That's awesome. No one's ever said, oh yeah, I follow you on X. It's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
You know?
That's right. That's true.
It's not a thing. I don't think it's real. Which is why I don't hang out on X that much. Because I just don't, I think I'm talking to a void of nothingness. That's how I feel, actually.
That's true. It's a bunch of engagement baiters baiting a bunch of bots. That's pretty much what it is. Now, the question is, I'm sure Instagram does it to a certain degree as well, but maybe Instagram still has more actual users than X.
I think so. I think X has more. I mean, I think Instagram has more people. I think YouTube has a lot of real people, which is why I like YouTube. Although it's really difficult on YouTube, you know, CommuTube. They give us a really hard time. But I think YouTube is most interesting, actually, which is why I continue to fight to stay here, although they keep on trying to kick me out. You know, I think a lot of Rumble is fake, actually, too. You know, I don't think those views are real.
No, I was looking, or I briefly watched Nick Fuentes' his sermon, I would call it, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, and the views were just going up, but in a pattern that was a straight line. You know, it's not like a stream where you see, okay, there's people coming in, people going out. It was just going straight up in just like counting. You know, like this doesn't seem organic.
No,
I don't know what's going on here, but I'm sure there's fakeage for the Rumble because I'm sure they're trying to raise more money or get investors involved.
Yeah, you got to make your platform look big, and if you have big influencers that you've paid money to be on it, you got to make it look like your dollars are worth it, that it's working. You know, you have to do that.
You have to do that. Yeah, I think in general, YouTube is a little harder to fake just because a bot is only going to be able to watch like an hour and a half stream. You know, there's only so many bots. It just takes the exponential amount of time that YouTube engagement takes. It makes it harder for the bots to be as effective, right? Because if your stream is an hour and a half long versus a 35-second video or even a singular text tweet, to engage with it is much more difficult.
Yeah, I like YouTube. If you're a real person and you're human and you're in the chat, like, dude, I'm a fucking human, checking in, something like that, because that's why I like YouTube. Because I know, like, at least, and we don't do anything. So I know, like, the people who are watching are like real people. You know, at least I know they're real. When I go on Rumble, it'll be like, oh, you have like this many people. And I used to be on Rumble a lot. I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm talking to people. I think I'm just talking to like machines. I really felt that so many times. I'm like, this is crazy. Look, I'm not a bot. I'm not a bot. Sorry, checking in, fucking human, See, amazing. It's like real people. You know, I'm not a poo cell, you know, something. It's something about that. And I just got tired of kind of talking to bots. It just, I don't know. I feel like that's where humanity is going. I feel like that's where society is going. And I'm just I want to talk to humans. That's the only thing I want to talk to, other than my local language machine that I have on my computer here. You know?
I think a lot of people feel that same way. If you ask 99% of people, they would tell you, I want to talk to more humans. And I think we're going, once again, this is maybe my optimism, but I think we're heading back in that direction where we want more human interaction. We want it to be real. And that's why I think live shows, live stream, that's where it's at, because you actually do have the human interaction. We're here with you right now, right? We're live, we're responding, or I can't see the chat, but you're seeing the chat and you can interact with them in real time versus, let's say, a pre-taped podcast. You don't know. Eventually, they're going to be getting so good where they're going to be able to fake that shit.
I mean, that's why I like telling people to say SAR and check in SAR, because I feel like the Indian bots are gonna like code it in, like do not redeem SAR. You know what I mean? It's like how you trick the system. You know, the Indian bots are gonna be like chicken and SAR. Like they're not gonna do it. So that's how we do it the way we do. It's
I
like
do
bot
love your
prevention.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things about you guys. You guys came up with like an organic, whatever, in language that you guys have with one another that's localized to your community. And it's cool that it developed organically like that.
It's hilarious because people will tell me that. I think you told me that too. That in the comment section, like people are checking in SAR. You know what I
I
mean?
texted it because I saw it in one of my videos. They were checking in SAR, and I wasn't even talking about you, to be honest. In that video, I didn't reference you at all, but I just saw that comment, so I sent it to you because I thought it was hilarious.
You know, so if you go on other YouTube videos and you're watching other people's streams, go check in SAR. That's how they know that we and our community is there. You know, like
There
we
you
own
go.
that shit now. Do not redeem. You know, dude, did you see? So I was watching this, like everyone's talking about James Comey, and I'm thinking about this girl that is a new US attorney. Her name was, damn, I forgot her name again. Because she's a brand new US attorney.
I have no
She
idea. I haven't seen it.
was,
Top of the
dude, the new US attorney, the one that filed the indictment on James Comey. She was in the US Miss USA pageant with
Lindsay Halligan.
with Erica Kirk.
Wow. Is that how they recruit though? Is that a recruitment pipeline?
What is that about?
That's the MAGA recruitment pipeline, right?
Two women from the same class of Miss USA in the same year, they just became famous in the last week. Is that organic or is that just fucking coincidental?
I need a few more data points, but I think that
she has no prosecutorial experience. She was an insurance attorney.
Oh, what?
She was never been a prosecutor. She was an insurance attorney. She was a beauty queen. She came in third during that Miss USA the same year that Erica Kirk was in it. And now she's the US attorney. And the first thing she does after she becomes the US attorney is indicts James Comey.
Interesting.
It takes the headline away. No one's ever heard of her. What are the chances?
Well, very high, I guess, because I don't know her name, but the ambassador to the UN is also a former Miss something. But so I don't know if this is a pipeline that they got going on. They just want pretty women to do the thing. This is a strategy. But it said this is according to Wikipedia, November 2021, Halligan met former President Donald Trump at Trump International Golf Club. According to a statement she provided to the Washington Post, Trump named her to his legal team several months later. And that's it. That's how it's done. You just meet him at the golf club, and then now
she didn't meet him at the golf club. She met him during Miss USA.
Oh, you're saying the first time, you mean?
Yeah. She was in his pageant.
But was he there for that one?
Yeah, same one Erica Kirk was in.
Oh.
And Erica Kirk only did one beauty pageant. That was the one that she won.
Miss Colorado USA. And then that's the stepping stone. That's how you do it.
And then
enter your daughters in the fucking Miss Colorado. You got a chance to become a U.S. attorney or a UN ambassador. And
in her indictment, she couldn't write the difference. She didn't know the difference in spelling between principal with the PLE and a principal PAL, and put the wrong word in.
Happens to everybody. I mean, at least she knows she's not using AI.
If you're a U.S. attorney.
Not using AI.
You know what I mean? Not if you're a U.S. attorney.
No. I have to look into that. I have not even seen this.
This one is crazy. This one's worth looking into. What are the chances, man? What are the chances that Erica Kirk, who, like, I don't like talking poorly of her because I feel really bad. But dude, it's so sketch. It's so weird. It's giving me like the worst vibes ever.
There's weird things coming out at Turning Point right now, especially, I think it was a day later. Wasn't it a day later they sent out some promo or fundraising email with just trying to fundraise off of Charlie Kirk, and she's on it.
And
That
they're
seems icky.
selling merch, and I still get those emails. And this kid, Brylan Hollyhead, they put him on like 4 or 5 networks within 1 hour of announcing that Charlie Kirk had passed. He did the entire round immediately.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
If you find clips of him talking on the news, the scroller on the bottom says Charlie Kirk just shot.
Wow. So it almost seems like people kind of knew, or there was at the very least protocols in place. If this happens, we are going to do this. If X happens, Charlie Kirk death, then we put in this playbook. They had
a what if Charlie Kirk dies plan in place for a guy that was 31 years old. And then Andrew was saying that he was like, oh yeah, he told me that if he were to ever pass, that Erica Kirk should take over. And I'm like, dude, no 31-year-old ever has that discussion. You know, like, oh, if I die, like, make sure my wife gets everything. Who does that at 30 years old? That's weird. That's not natural.
Unless he knows Israel's after him, right? Which he stated, according to Harrison Smith, a month before, a friend.
And then Erica Kirk was like, hey, by the way, we have all these unwritten speeches for unused speeches from before. So we have unlimited content coming out in the future. And I'm thinking, like, how do we know he wrote it?
Could be AI.
How do you know someone else didn't write it and be like, oh yeah, this is what he said? Don't let his legacy go to shame. Like, he really only cared about Israel. Like, how do you know that I won't do that? Which is probably most likely what they would do.
But you don't think people would sniff that bullshit out? I feel like people would know. People have to know. Some people have to know. Not everybody. You can't get everybody. So that's what I'm saying. You start to have a level of attrition to the narrative, and more and more people kind of opt out of that. Over time, you're seeing it. This is an optimistic view, I understand. But more and more people are opting out of that. And therefore, you can't. I guarantee you, if we have another 9/11, once again, God forbid, another thing of that scale, it's not going to unify the country. People are immediately false flag or this. There's not going to be a uniform like, oh, this person did it to us or this country did it to us, and now we're going to fire back at them. That's not going to work anymore. That's my opinion.
It's not going to work, which is why you mobilize federal troops throughout the country for when it doesn't work.
Okay, so you're saying we got to get these people in line. We need force. Okay.
I mean, why else do you mobilize troops all over the country?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but yeah, I mean, I have this, to just continue with the military-industrial complex, right? We need some troops. We gotta send them somewhere. Can't send them abroad anymore. Let's put them here. I think there's obviously people on the other side talking about how they're gearing up for some kind of, I guess, coup situation where, you have an election, they're going to contest it. There's going to be martial law already. That's what some people are saying. I don't know, but it's not good. And I am, at the very least, it's not a uniform, like if you're on the right or you're on the left, you feel a certain way. There are people that are breaking orthodoxy on both sides, which I think is a good sign. Is this being too optimistic for you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm total black-pilled. You know what I mean? Like, there's federal troops rolling around the states, and they have whatever excuse it is for it. But we've normalized the idea of federal troops within the borders, and like apparently this is okay.
I don't know if a lot of people. I don't think people are okay with it. I think people are fine with it.
How can people are like, oh yeah, National Guard goes to Washington D.C. Oh yeah, that place is a shithole anyway. National Guard goes into Chicago. Oh, they deserve it. ICE goes into here. That's okay. Hey, we have these we have a brand new anti-terrorist force that we're going to roll out throughout the country. And people are like, oh, that's okay. It makes sense. Oh, yeah, domestic terrorists. We're going to get them. Oh, yeah, Antifa's domestic terrorists. Let's go get after them.
There's a lot of people.
Everyone's okay with it. No, who's fighting back against that?
Not active. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. There's not an active fight back, but there is discourse saying, hey, this is not good. We don't like this.
Discourse. Nice.
Discourse.
Nice. Shame on them.
Yeah.
How horrible. How dare they?
But what are you going to do?
Dare you?
Wow.
I think it's weird. I think it's concerning. Enough where I think about it 100%
concerning. Yeah. It's even with the stuff with the ICE, right? Because I'm not a person that is necessarily going out and defending illegal immigration, but when you have masked officers that don't have to identify themselves, no due process, snatching people off the street. We don't know if they're doing it properly. I could be like, what's to stop somebody from pretending to be an ICE agent and just taking somebody hostage? Right?
Nothing.
That's insane.
Oh no, but you gotta protect them. So this is more important. Like, who cares about civil liberty? Who cares if they get the wrong guy? Who cares if they didn't identify themselves? You actually have to protect the federal government workers, not the people. That's what we're normalizing. You gotta protect the workers and the federal government and their foot soldiers. Forget if we are protecting the people.
Yeah.
And people are okay with that. It's fine. Not a big deal.
Until you know.
Until it's you. Until they come for you. Like,
until they come for you.
Until they come for you. You know?
It has to be personal to them. A lot of people, that is a weakness, I think, in human nature, is that we don't really realize something's happening until we're personally impacted by it. You have a friend, you have a family member, you yourself have experienced it. And you said, wow, I didn't know that could happen.
I got a question, because you're in California.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom.
Okay.
I definitely think he's a front runner to be the Democratic candidate for the presidency. I've thought so for a year now. And I think he has an extremely high probability to win. I don't want him to win. I think he's horrible. Obviously, you know better. You're in California. But I think he has extremely high possibility of winning. And people will say, "Oh no, like look how poorly he did in California. Like they'll never get elected because, people in California won't forgive him." And I disagree adamantly. I think people in California actually don't care that much. What do you think?
Well, I think people in California do. There's more and more dissent, and they know that the Democratic Party is corrupt. But there's this kind of entrenched, like, hey, this is, we're Democrats. There's a lot of protection. Like, there's a lot of institutional protection of the Democratic Party. And I know this because I've been trying to get this documentary funded about the homeless industrial complex, right? Because I've been doing a lot of reporting. A director / producer reached out to me. He said, hey, love your videos. I've been dealing with some of that shit in my neighborhood, and I want to make this with you. And he's like in Hollywood. He's produced hundreds of documentaries, but he's not in this space. He's done like music documentaries and things like that. Like he's doing one with Shania Twain right now. But he's like, I want to tell this story. And another guy independently reached out to me, and he's connected in the music industry. So we're like, okay, now we have the connection. So we actually literally have connections to executives all across the streaming networks. And we say, hey, we made a trailer we think is really good. We pass around to people kind of within the circle, and they say, oh yeah, this is amazing. Like, this is a very compelling story. This should absolutely get funded. And then we send it in, and the rumblings are either, like, we've heard some streaming sites that are just say, hey, this is just too political for us. We can't do it. And we've had another executive say, yeah, this is a really compelling story. It's not enough buy-in on this at the moment. And it's because of the sort of the Democratic parties in lockstep with Hollywood, right? You can't really go against the Democrats if you want to be a part of Hollywood. It's very difficult. Or else you might get, like, there are some people who do, and they just get excommunicated from that community, right? There are people like that. But for the majority of the executives, they're not going to take a chance on that. It's like, first of all, they don't know you. So they're like, maybe this project will be interesting. Let's say if, Miley Cyrus gets on board. I'm like, what the fuck? That's the kind of shit that it's like, oh, okay. Maybe we'll entertain this. Like, if you get enough celebrities involved in this project, maybe we'll do it. And we'll tell
I'm going to solve your problem.
Story. Yeah,
I'm going to solve your problem. You got to make it about Palestinian homeless people. And then Hollywood's be like, oh, that's an interesting one. And they'll get on board. Maybe if you make it about Palestinian trans homeless people, then I bet you get funding.
Well, what's the story there? The story is just following a bunch.
You just need the keywords, man. You just need the keywords. You just need the keywords.
Okay, so you lied to them. It's like, we're going to make this story and we're going to make something totally different.
Headline. Yeah. The Palestinian trans crisis, homeless crisis in California. Dude. And be like, dude, I know where they are. I have this long documentary. It's going to be a great story.
But in terms of the Gavin Newsom,
bet you get your funding.
Maybe I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna call the guy up and be like, hey, maybe we pivot. But as far as Gavin Newsom, I think I do agree with you that he is going to be the front runner. He's going to be entirely propped up by the Democratic machine, right? They're going to basically say everybody else is going to be a danger to democracy. Like, we need Gavin Newsom. He's our best chance to save democracy. Like, if we go with anybody else, it's too much risk. The same playbook they've been running for 20, 30 years. And I don't know exactly the state of the country at that point, right? But I do think that even though I hate his guts, he's extremely corrupt. He really is just almost the same as any other corrupt politician. I mean, if you think Trump is corrupt, Gavin Newsom is equally corrupt, but he does it in a different way. Where there's different flavor to the corruption, right? He's corrupting, but he loves the LGBTQ, right? That's maybe the difference. I think people will fall for it, unfortunately, because they're going to give him the Democratic voting base is like basically, whipped into submission during election season. No other choice, right? Right now, I mean, the party doesn't even respect their own primary process, but they're going to be able to gaslight them anyways later. So we need this guy. This is our guy. And it just made me feel so bad because they're just like, do you want fascism? Do you want racism? Do you want all this bad stuff? Or do you want to go with the guy who you kind of don't like a lot, but at least he's gonna save the country? That's it. That's what they're gonna do.
He's doing his best Trump impression right now. He's literally doing everything that Trump did leading up to election, right? Which is a shit posting, going on podcasts. He's doing everything that
he's supposed
Trump
to be the governor of California, bro. He's
busy podcasting.
I know.
He's got other stuff to do. He's governor of president. He's gonna do this for 4 years, by the way. This is just like year one. California is like so far behind him. And he's gonna win the Democrats that vote party line because they're gonna vote for him. It doesn't matter who the candidate is.
Right.
And then you're gonna pick up the super anti-Trumpers that will vote against Trump just because it's not Trump. So he'll pick up those people also. And then all he needs to do is just pick up a few people in the middle along the way, which is he has 4 years to do that, which is why he's doing all these podcasts, why he's going on these shows, why he's doing all this trolling, hoping to pick up name recognition and random, like, unmotivated voters. And he has a real shot. And people like, I see people in the chat like, oh yeah, AOC. Dude, no one's gonna vote for like a Latina woman. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, even the Democrats, as woke as they are, they're not gonna do it. It's not a thing,
I think, I don't know, but the voter, I mean, the Democratic leadership are not going to want her as the top of the ticket. They might throw in a Gavin Newsom AOC the VP slot. I could see them doing some bullshit like that to basically say we're diverse, right? Because they've been railing on the white man so hard. How could they possibly have a white man on the top of the ticket without having some other counter to balance it out? Whether AOC is going to want to do that, I don't know. But the diversity.
She's young. Why not? I think she would.
You think so for VP? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a little tap on the shoulder and she goes from bartender to VP, dude,
not bad.
She fucking crushed it. You know what I mean? I don't think she's saying no.
That's true. I don't think she's saying
no. Like, I can't. You're gonna just make me, dude. You're a bartender. You know what I mean? Now you're gonna be.
Yeah.
You're a VP candidate. Would you say no? That makes no sense at all.
Makes no sense. And also, AOC is far too divisive to be a unifier for this country, right? Because if you talk, one of the things that I would criticize Trump a lot about is that he doesn't really unify the country. AOC has no chance of unifying the country because she's so polarizing. Right? She's not a figure who moderate people will be like, oh yeah, I like her, or even people on the other side, right? Bernie was another guy who I thought, wow, you could see a lot of Republicans voting for him just because he's doesn't like go to you and say like you're a fucking racist person, right? He doesn't do that kind of shit where he alienates people. He's like, hey man, we just want to do working class policies, and we want to help you find, buy a home, raise a family, that kind of. I mean, he has a lot of that in his policy positions, but the problem with him is I think he also has a little bit of that Trump derangement situation where after this was in 2016, he basically didn't leverage any of his strength. And he's like basically won half the party and he didn't ask for any kind of concession, which was, I think, killed the rest. I think it just killed the progressive movement in the Democratic Party. Like whether you agree with the movement or not, like he destroyed it based on the fact that he just didn't want to be responsible for electing Trump, even though that's exactly what happened anyway, right? He didn't even ask to reform the Democratic Party. You know, the Democratic Party, like the primary system has super delegates. They can basically override the voting, the voters if they wanted to every single time. How can you say that that party is the one that would save democracy, right? Even within their own party, they have built-in codified rules that can usurp the will of the people. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I know, like, okay. I was really pro-Trump leading into the election. Leading into, I think I started
2016 or 2024.
Well, definitely 2016. 2024, I was really pro-Trump leading into possibly right around the assassination attempt. That's when I was like, huh, something here seems weird. You know, that's kind of when I got a little creeped out. But I didn't want to say anything. We were so close to the election. And right after the election, I was like, dude, something doesn't feel right here. At the same time, I wasn't gonna go vote for Kamala. Like that wasn't like in my decision matrix, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh, Nick Fuentes is crazy. This guy's saying like, you can't vote for Trump, you know? And I was like, dude, this guy's crazy. And then after I was like, huh, he wasn't like that crazy.
No.
But ever since then, I'm seeing like this merge and this marriage to the technocracy, to the oligarchy, to how much kind of, you know, how much corruption that there is and how all these promises aren't fulfilled. And they say we're going after people, but it's like it's more like political theater going after people, like not really going after people. And the only thing that's happened is that our lives are getting worse, not better. That's what I feel. But I don't know. What do you think? How do you think Trump's been doing?
I think he's been doing. I mean, okay. So when I have criticisms of Trump, I always caveat with like, I think the media always attacks him. So there's probably some things that he's done well that we just don't hear about that they're not focusing on. So I'm just going to caveat it as that. But the stuff that I really cared about and the stuff, because coming from, I think, more of an independent perspective, the messages that we got from Trump beforehand was like, we're going to make America healthy again. We're going to stop the forever wars. We're going to release the Epstein list. A lot of those unifying policy positions have been basically abandoned almost immediately, right? I mean, you've talked enough about the Epstein list, right? We all know that's ridiculous what happened there with how it somehow became a Democratic Barack Obama-led hoax, right? It's like, no, that's not obviously what's going on here. So I think in that way, in that sense, I think his policy positions or his performance has been abysmal from my perspective, just on those issues that I cared about the most, where he's like, yeah, I'm going to change. I'm going to be the one to end all this deep state bullshit. I'm going to be the outsider once again coming in, and we're going to root out the corruption in the FBI. Now you see how, you know, fucking Kash Patel's performance here in the FBI, very, very bad. So in those things, I don't think he's doing that well. Now there's probably something. So, but then I think I gave him some credit in terms of like things like tariff, right? I even defended tariffs, you know, when he was talking about it. I'm like, hey, are you guys hating tariffs because you hate Trump? Because when Bernie Sanders was talking about tariffs, you guys didn't react this way. And, you know, I played the clips almost back to back, the same kind of thing that he was talking about, same message. So in some ways, yes, I think there's like an unfair attack against Trump. But in a lot of other situations, I think Trump has been just kind of co-opted, right? And maybe it happened with assassin. Maybe that was the turning thing. Point was, oh, not to use that, you know, turning point as a as a you know, innuendo there, but he seemed to have shifted after that, right? He's like, he didn't even look into his own, you know, assassination, right? He was just like, oh, Secret Service, great job. Like, what the fuck? Don't you want to find out who the guy was, like how he was radicalized? Don't you want to find out any information about what happened there, security lapses, anything like that? Reform? No.
The only reason you don't look into it is because you already know who did it. It's the only thing that actually makes sense. If you know who already did it and you don't want other people to know who did it, if it's a warning, if it was a legitimate threat, for whatever reason, if you know who did it, you don't need to look into it. You're like, no, no, nothing to see here. Let's move on. Let's move on, country, because we don't want to know this.
That's a
Probably he
great
knows.
point.
He
And that was
knows.
kind
He
of the
knows they
same
did it.
thing, right? With the drones or whatever in New Jersey, right?
Hmm.
They were just like, don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, no big deal.
No
Drones
big
in the
deal.
air. Everyone's seen them. There's like 1,000 videos online of these random drones, but
And
no
they're
big
because
deal.
they were saying we don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
The government was like, we don't know what it is, and people are like,
What?
well, don't you want to fucking find out?
Like, no, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no.
no,
Which
no.
means they already know what it is, right? They know exactly what those drones are doing there, where they came from.
It's like a really Chinese thing to do. Is when you ask a Chinese person like a question and they don't answer, they just don't answer. Like they don't even say yes or no. They just ignore the question.
Is that what happens?
It is what happens, and and that's like what our government is doing to us. You know, you ask them questions, and if they don't want to answer or they don't want to tell you, they just don't answer and pretend it didn't happen. Hey, what about all those drones everyone's talking? Uh, like the tariffs are going really well. Like, no, 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 like I want to talk about the drones, you know?
Yeah. The
I know.
only
So
yeah
what's going on with the Epstein list? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was an Obama thing. Hey, by the way, I'm like, what? You know?
Obama hoax.
Yeah, it's
Which I
Obama.
think, to give credit to the Epstein thing, there are a few Republicans who are now being massively proud. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think she's making a run for president. That's just my opinion, just based on her
You
positioning right
think?
now. Oh yeah, she's making a run for presidency. She's rebuking Trump. She's trying to go with that MAGA, but not Trump lane. I don't know how
Hmm.
wide that lane is, but I think that's what she's taking right now because she's coming out hard with the Epstein. She's whatchamacallit, she's collaborating with Massey to do the Epstein file release, right? She's up there with the what do they call it? The survivors. I think she's going in and she's trying to take this America first. She's like, I am America first. See, all this Israel first. I think I'm America. I think she's counting on maybe the awakening happening and people actually saying, okay, we don't want any more of this Israel thing. We're gonna find somebody who hasn't been to Israel, who hasn't kissed the wall. Like there's no photos of her doing that. She's never gone over there. She's never taken APAC money. I think she's going for that lane. I have no corroborating evidence of this. I've never talked to anybody on her team. I've never talked to her. This is just my theory,
Huh.
observation.
Interesting. But that can't be. No, like she would never have a chance.
How do you
Have
know?
you seen,
Why not?
dude? Well, I don't know if you could find it. There is a promotion video she did here in Georgia where she was trying to give away some sort of rifle for like signing up for her mailing list.
Is that right?
Yeah, you guys see it. It looks like a fucking 12-year-old made it in 1995. You know what I mean?
She'll get a better team.
And after watching this video, I was like, no way. I
Why
don't
not?
know if you can find
I don't know. I think she's just deluded enough to think she can do it.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
We'll see. I mean, only time will tell, right? That's purely based on political speculation, just thinking, okay, who is doing that? I think everybody, when you run for office, when you make a decision like that, to some degree, you've thought about being president. Anybody who said no, I think it's a lie. So then when you get to that stage and you're like, okay, are there political openings for me? Is there a lane I could take? I think people are always jockeying for that position. Whether or not they eventually announce, that's another thing. But they're always positioning themselves in some way to get to the next level.
I think you need to like fundraising and can you raise enough money to do it? And without, especially if she's gonna run on the right, without the Israel lobby and the Israeli lobby adjacent PACs, I don't think how it's possible, like the Texas billionaires who fund everything, the oil money guys, like how can you run without them? And they are very much in the Zionist side.
It's true. It's not been done before, but I'm just saying that she's positioning for something. She's taking like a gamble. It's like you have a very low possibility but very high upside. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. It may not
Okay.
work, but if she wants to be president, you have, let's say a 1% chance if you take this path. If you take the other normal path, there's way too many people ahead of you in line.
How about JD Vance?
Well, I mean, he's obviously gonna run.
Do you think, number one, do you think he can win? Number two, do you like him?
Do I think he can win? Absolutely, he can win. I don't like him just because I don't even know if anything is real about him, to be quite honest with you, right? Who changes their name 3 times? I'm not even sure that fucking movie is telling. Did his grandma really even buy that fucking calculator for? I don't even know what the fuck happened. And now he's definitely. I mean, you can trace the money, right, to Palantir. He's basically propped up by these dystopian tech billionaires. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure maybe as a person, he might be okay. Like if I were to hang out with him, it would be a good time or whatever. I don't know. But certainly as the leader of this country, don't like that.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah,
Like, what do you? I
something
mean,
about him.
right? He's weird. He's weird.
There's like
And I don't think
a
he's real. He just
playbook.
doesn't seem real.
How they create these kind of politicians and they prop them up and they manufacture them and they kind of follow the same kind of like blueprint. So you write a book and then you use the success of that book and then you move over and you gain more attention and then they move you up through the political ranks. That's what they did with JD. That's what they attempted to do with Vivek. Um,
Mhm.
And this kid, remember we watched the kid of the Brilliant Holland of him like rocking back and forth,
Yeah. Like,
and
what's
he had
happening here?
all these like kind of posters behind him. That was from his book release.
Oh,
They're making him.
whoa.
They're manufacturing him. He's gonna be somebody someday.
He's going to be somebody someday. The question is, can you reproduce Charlie Kirk again? Like I said.
No, they don't want to reproduce Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, they
They
do.
used Charlie Kirk to grow and start what it is, and he served his purpose. Now you want someone that's gonna kind of do and stay in line with what their agenda is because the blueprint and the groundwork has already been done. You don't need the same exact person. The same person, they needed a
Mm.
person for the growth and the start. But now they need
Mm.
someone that's moldable and will stay in line.
Got you. It's like when Apple got rid of Steve Jobs from
Yeah, you don't
PlayStation.
need another Steve Jobs after Steve
You
Jobs.
just
Now
get
you need
Tim
a
Cook.
manager. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know?
Man, yeah. What's happening? Because I'm not as close because I didn't come out of that ecosystem of Turning Point on the right. So you probably know more. You're more in that ecosystem. Do you talk to people? Are they also behind the scenes? Like, what are they feeling about that organization? Are the vibes good? What's going on there?
I think the ones that it's getting so big so fast. I think there's a lot of excitement there,
That Charlie's
you know?
gone because there's just some
No,
gaping
just
hole, or
that
what?
they're getting scale.
Mm,
Everyone's talking about them.
yeah.
It's like a thing. It's like one of the most well-known political organizations in the country now. You're not focused on, hey, like what happened here? No, you're focused on, oh my gosh, like we're popular and people are watching us. And I get it. Turning Point was pretty big. Charlie Kirk is a pretty big name. I didn't watch him. I didn't like consume his content. The only thing I've seen of him is what the algorithm kind of put on me. But I never went out of my way to go watch him. I've never seen his show before. I've even been on his show. I've never even seen my segment on his show because I don't watch his show. So I think that's for most people actually. It's like a really niche audience. And the niche audience and the niche network has become mainstream.
Really? I
And
didn't see it that way.
they're working directly with Daily Wire. They're all become kind of merged into this one
Mm.
big conglomerate of a machine. And they're in every university in America at this point. I think if you're working for Turning Point, like you gotta be pretty pumped.
And maybe that's exactly why Charlie is better off dead to them than
Mm,
alive, right? I mean, I do truly believe that Charlie, even though I didn't know, I've never interacted with him, and I disagree with a lot of what he said. I think he had some principles that he didn't compromise ever,
mm,
and I think that's an issue for people who are purely about power and like who wanted just to use him for their own benefit, right? It's like Charlie had become so big that it can't be controlled. Because you're referencing Turning Point as like a media organization, but Turning Point is a ground game operation as well, right? They were responsible. They were literally tasked, contracted by the Trump campaign to turn out the under 30 vote. That's very powerful. That's more than just media. Because if people were like, well, if they hated Charlie because of Israel, why not just kill Tucker? Why not kill Candace? Well, those are purely media people. Charlie actually got people to go out and vote. Imagine if he turned, if he started doing things his own way, you could actually impact elections. Whereas Candace, Tucker, like you could be like, whatever, they're kooks now. You know, that's what they're doing to them. Like those guys are excommunicated from the party. They're radical. You know, they're what are they? The woke Reich, as Netanyahu is saying now. The woke Reich. So there's ways to do that, but you know, when you actually have an organization that's tasked with turning out the vote, the power is, you know, 10, 100x just versus just a media organization.
And through this one event, they've made that very powerful organization 10 times more powerful, and they've taken full control of it.
Exactly. And to
I don't know who killed him, but at the same time, I know who benefits.
And like, didn't you, mean you just made the point, right? The reason why they don't want to get to the bottom of it is because they already know. Why is Turning Point not helping? Why are they not releasing the footage that could literally solve this case? Because they already know.
Lone shooter theory is legit.
Officially.
Yeah. Don't ask any questions.
Don't ask. I mean, that was a joke I made like day 2. I'm like, all right, investigation's done. Don't ask. No more questions. Lone shooter, Tyler Robinson, furry. He did it.
Yeah, furry did it. It's always a trans, you know? I'm like the last guy to defend trans, but like you just can't slap their name on every single headline and say it was them. You know, like, can we like actually figure it out? You know?
Yeah, it's too obvious. Like, and now we don't even know. Like, if this trans person, he has a trans boyfriend. Okay, really?
Yeah, that no one's ever seen. And then this Charlie Kirk thing is like so infuriating because it's like so blatant that they're covering it up, that they're lying to you, that they have information and they are knowingly deceiving you. And I think that's the part I'm really pissed off about. That's what annoys me.
Oh,
it's because they're totally manipulating us, and they can solve this just by telling us the truth. And now Candace is saying, "Oh, this guy didn't do it," and he's denying that he was the shooter. And I'm like, wait, why did he turn himself in?
Well, I mean, according to the affidavit, which I read today, again, the affidavit never said he turned himself in. It says family members turn him in. And he never made any claim because there have been claims in the media that was thrown around that said like he despised Charlie Kirk. He's like, I've had enough of his hate. Right? That was one of the quotes that was thrown around. He never said that. Tyler never said that. In the affidavit itself, it said family members said that about him. So
that he himself allegedly said that somebody said.
Exactly. So we don't know. I mean, I just think that there's just too many things that don't make any sense. And it's the same as the Epstein, right? You're like, it's gone too far. When you say that no young girls were ever trafficked to anybody, that's going too far, right? It's like you're now treating us as just nincompoops. You know, you don't think you don't respect us even enough to concoct like a decent half lie, right? You're just straight up. It's like whatever, you know. The bullet, like they already stated. By the way, that affidavit said Mauser 98 30-06. Everybody that I've seen that knows anything about guns said that would have blown his neck off if it was that bullet. I don't know anything about guns. I don't know how familiar you are with guns, but they're saying that bullet is like this big, would have shattered the neck, the spine.
Man of Steel.
Right? When you come across, that's like magic bullet once again, right? Have you talked with Peter? It's like magic bullet again. Every single assassination, it's like the JFK one, right? The bullet goes in a circle, hits like 4 people or whatever, you know, 1 bullet. And then you had the RFK assassination. If you looked into that, is like the bullet's not even coming based on eyewitness. It's not even coming from the direction that the official report says. It's coming from somebody behind or something like that. Not even from the person that they arrested. So every single one of these like mass assassination or not mass, but like these high profile assassination attempts, there's something like I would say, out of this world, that they need to explain something, right? There's something, like I said, there's some miracle that happened that explains why it turned out like that. Very bizarre.
I think I I think it's one of these things that's going to come back over and over again, and they're going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, and they're going to start labeling people who still talk about this as conspiracy theorists, as crazy. They're going to try to
Is that going to
discredit
work
you.
still, though? Right? Because there's too many conspiracies that have already proven true, right?
Yeah, but immediately they were like, "Oh, how dare you question this? Like, show some respect." And it worked
Yeah,
on a huge portion of the
that's true.
population,
That's
you
true.
know? And the middle is always up for grabs, but you need something to solidify your base, to justify what you're doing. And this is a base consolidation, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, if they weren't involved, there's certainly, or if the higher powers, the powers that be weren't involved, they're certainly leveraging the moment to consolidate, right? They're taking
Mm.
advantage of the tragedy to do what they need to do. And that's the same with disasters, right? I don't know the LA fires, whether it was a space laser or the, controlled
Space
burn.
lasers, dude.
What?
I'm on the side of space laser.
But they certainly are using it to their advantage, right?
Mm.
Or the same thing in Maui, right? The land grab, like, I don't know if
Space lasers.
could be. But the end, it doesn't really matter though. If the end result is that, oh, they're going to do a land grab, who cares what if the end result is that there's going to be mass consolidation, mass censorship, police state, surveillance state, who cares even what the conspiracy is if the conspiracy results or the conclusion is true.
Mm.
Like, we're saying, hey, they're doing this because of X, Y, Z. I don't know what the impetus or the actual truth behind the assassination, but I do know the results are correct. Like, the conspiracy theorists, in terms of like the conclusion they come to, as far as the effect of something, is usually pretty spot on.
I mean, after Maui, they were like, "Oh, space lasers, UAWs, whatever." And then, like a month later, Israeli news puts out the UAWs that they've been working on.
No.
Did you see that?
It was a while ago. I don't remember seeing that, actually. That's wild.
So about a month after Maui, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's like space lasers." Then they put out videos of the space lasers they were actually working on. And I'm thinking, like, dude, there's no way that this is like coincidental. They've been holding this news and research they've been doing on space lasers, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, look, by the way, everyone's thinking that space lasers blew up Maui. Oh yeah, by the way, we've been working on it. No connection. We're just trying to ride the trend of the search algorithm." Like, seriously?
Well, I always go back to that clip
Not
on
UAW,
60
the
Minutes.
DEWs. DEWs.
Oh yeah, direct energy weapons.
Yeah, DEWs.
Mm-hmm. And it's theater, right? It's like the Mossad guy, 60 Minutes.
Dude, you
Right?
gotta look up the videos of the DEWs. Like, they're out there. They literally put it out there. And they're DEWs that they owned, the space lasers. You can put them on like jets and put them up in the sky, and you can shoot down and blow shit up. Like, they literally put it out there after Maui.
I haven't
Like,
seen
okay.
that. That's crazy.
Okay.
Well, then they know. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're toying with the world. They're puppeteers, and they've admitted that they're puppeteers. They acknowledge it openly. They're proud of it, and that's why CBS is buying the Free Press for $250 million. I wonder how much the Matt Kim podcast would be worth if you started doing free press stuff.
I don't
you have
know.
more views probably than the Free Press.
When I was doing Instagram videos, they would offer me a lot of money, especially during campaign season, to like make videos. I never did any, but they offered me a lot of money to do them at that time, and I was like surprised at how much they would offer. And Will,
I've heard people offering $100,000. You probably
no, I didn't. No, not like that.
No,
no, like $3,000 to $5,000 to make one video.
Oh, I guess I don't know what kind of video.
Like a
100,000
60,
to
90-second video.
Endorse.
Yeah.
Candidate
No.
endorsement.
Just
Okay.
to like make a short form video.
Okay.
They offer me like $3,000 to $5,000 to do it. And we'll be like, "Man, maybe you could say yes once." Like, you like that guy. Like, you could, dude, I just don't want it. I feel like it's It's a really bad road to go down, you
Well,
know?
isn't that? I think I've heard you talking about this with Peter, where it says like that's a test. It's like,
Yeah.
will you do it? This
Yeah,
time
I
is
think
a
so.
little bit, and then next time a little bit more, until until you basically, it's like a drug, right? You take a little bit of the drug. Oh, feels good. I'm
Eventually
just
they
gonna
come
do
get you.
one time. It's like I'm gonna do it one time, right? One time, a little one, one line, one night, and then it's like, okay, now they're gonna try to hook you in.
If anyone, how about this? If anyone has any questions for James, maybe do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, hell yeah. That's what the live stream is all about here.
I like so many things I want to like pick your brain on. I want to see where you stand. If if people want to, oh, who a sponsor who pay five, like propagandists, media companies. Dude, when I was doing Instagram, I used to go on Instagram live and show the text messages that I would get of the offers, like on the live to the chat. And then people would take what that message was and then go into like the Instagram search, and then you'd figure out which
Exactly who's doing it.
influencers did that exact video at that same exact time. And it's like, oh, okay, like that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. And after a while, like, fuck, I liked him. He was like my friend. You know, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're all like lying and they're all propagandists. I'm like, what the fuck? Like you're on it too.
97% are propagandists. That's how
Mm.
that's how you make money.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I don't make
That's
any
just the
money.
reality. But I think there's a lane for people like you and I.
Mm.
Eventually, I think this is, once again, man, I think I'm just too optimistic, bro. But I'm just like, this is where the real truth tellers are going to be, like, there's going to be economically viable. Like, we're going to be the ones that are going to outcompete these guys because we actually do the good work. Like, people are going to want to know the truth after they've been lied to for so long, for so many times. They're going to want people like us just going to give it to them straight, or at least what we think. I mean, we may not be right a lot of times, but I'm not going to lie to you.
James, have you thought about crowdfunding your documentary?
I have thought about crowdfunding the documentary. I just haven't. I don't really know how that really works because I haven't even crowdfunded my own platform, to be honest with you. Right? That was one of the things behind the scenes I was talking to Jillian Michaels about, and she's like, "Are you monetizing?" I'm like, "Not really. I don't. I feel icky about any kind of monetization for the most part. Even because the only ad that I've done on my Instagram is for your VPN company.
Mm.
So that's because I know you, and I'm like, I think people should actually buy this product. Like, it's good. So I'm okay with that. But I even feel uncomfortable just asking, for Patreon. I don't have a Patreon, at least for my own show. I don't have one because I was like, man, these is people's hard-earned dollars. I know my audience, and my audience is like working class people who are just out there grinding. I don't want to take money from them. I just feel
It's
so
not
bad
easy.
about it.
It's not
So
easy. Like figure out how to monetize and stay online and do this and spend a lot of time doing it. It's actually really difficult because you don't want to like ask for money. You don't want to send them to shit product or shit places.
exactly.
Like if you go on Rumble, like everyone's chilling, like fucking all these supplements that don't do anything,
Yeah.
that literally cost 30 cents to make, but they sell them for like $10 or $100, or, the gold companies that actually you don't even own the gold. Like you own ownership in a company that buys their own gold so that if they go under, like they have all your gold, but you don't get shit, like it's so, like, I don't want to do any of that. But at the same time, like you spend a lot of time doing this. I don't know. I don't know the solution to that. Actually, I don't,
I
I'm
think
like the worst
it's,
person to figure that
well,
out with.
at some point, yeah, I would have to figure out. It's just finding the right partners that are of the same mindset, right? So, like, I partner with you. I know your VPN
Mm.
company, right? You guys are about this, have the same ethos. So it's like finding more and more people. It's like, okay, a legitimate company that sells something that will actually benefit your life, and those are hard to find because most people just want to make money. All businesses, that's kind of what they care about. Who gives a
Yeah,
shit?
well, let's put that up. VP.net/5149. If you are looking for a VPN and you want the only VPN that cannot spy on you, and be like, no, of course they can. Like, no, it can't. Like, it's literally a thing. Trust me, bro. There is It is a VPN that cannot spy on you, cannot see what you're doing. And James is one of the guys that helping put the message out there. And if you want to support James, use his code vp.net/5149. If you need a VPN,
vp.net/5149. Let's go.
That's the one you should be using, and definitely use James' code. I think that's a cool thing to do.
Appreciate that. And yeah, I think hopefully I'm going to find more of those opportunities. I basically reject almost anybody that comes to me just because I'm not really interested in that. Like I manage my life in a very frugal way where the amount of money that I do make, I know I can sustain. Like I'm absolutely not rolling in the dough, not even close to that. But I prepared for this for a long time. Like I was a consultant, right? I was making good money and I saved money and I put myself in a position where I planned this for over 3 years, like transitioning to doing, media, journalism, this kind of thing full time. And I didn't just do it on a whim. I was like, okay, let me calculate how much money I need to, to sustain my lifestyle, rent, food, expenses. Okay, how much money do I need on the other side? How long is it going to take me to get there? So right now I'm at a point where basically I'm like breaking even on my expenses. I don't want to get into like my personal finances or anything like that. I don't mean to take up people's time in that way, but like that's where I'm at right now. It's like I'm just basically breaking even. I'm not saving money, but I'm not going to starve. So then that's why it's like, hey, I can grow. But the thing is, if I get more money, I can grow because then I can invest in equipment or studio space. I can hire people so I can do more work. So like I do eventually want to do that because I do believe in expanding. I want people to hear my message, right? So there are things that I want to do, but I'm just growing at a slower pace. I'm just like, I'm going to take my time to do it.
What is the 5149 referencing?
5149. That's a great question. And there's a lot of meanings to it now, but the genesis of the 5149 came from a buddy of mine. And this was in business school. And he was, he's a good friend. And he was like, dude, you say some shit in class or like just off the cuff that I think 51% of the people are okay with. They may agree with it. 49% extremely offended. And so he's like, you're just like kind of towing the line between what's acceptable to say and what's not acceptable to say. And I think that's kind of carried over in my content because I do believe like a lot of the stuff that I say is controversial, but I'm also careful of like not going too far, right? And that's just kind of where I live naturally. Is I want to push the boundary, but I want to do it in a way where I can bring as many people into the message as possible, right? And that's I got a lot of shit a couple last few days because I was talking to Jillian Michaels right after her walkout, and they're like, why the fuck are you platforming her? Like, why didn't you push back harder? This and that. I'm like, it's a fucking conversation. She's a guest on my show. I'm going to guest on her show. I want to make this, I want to push back in a way where I think she'll be able to receive the message, right? Because she's like, why didn't you correct her on this and that? You just let all that shit go. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to correct every single thing she's saying, but I can push back one or two things, critical things, I think, that she might be able to hear that message. And that's what I'm trying to do is like, okay, I want to get 51% of people on board with something. Like, how do I get that? Because that's ultimately like what democracy is all about, right? How do we create 50% plus one solutions for people? And so this is where the message of 5149 has kind of evolved over time, which I love, right? Because it's like, how do we, it's democratic. It's a little bit of like a personal thing for me. It's like how I, if you know me personally, I'll just say off the cuff shit where I think most people will agree. But a lot of people will be like, what the fuck did you just say? So that's the short answer.
That's interesting. You can't convince everyone. But even convincing 51% seems like a lot.
I mean, that's my goal. It's like I try to find things that I think I can get 51% of the people on board with. I probably don't succeed all the time at that, but that's ultimately the goal. And I think if we were to do good faith efforts to have people in government think that way, we would solve a lot of problems. But the issue right now is that they're all corrupted. They just serve the donors. They serve the 1%, right? It's like 199. We'll do something for the people once in a long while. It's hard for me to remember. Can you remember any bill, recent policies, anything that was like, oh yeah, this is purely for the people?
Oh no, never. People. It's never. I mean, they'll name it in a way that seems like it's for you, but it never actually does anything for you. Like they even didn't do that no tax on tips that ended up being bullshit.
Yeah, because people weren't even paying. It's like most people were already not paying taxes on that, right?
Yeah, that did literally nothing. I'm trying to think if there's anything that was passed that was, especially in recent memory, that was actually better for the citizens. I can't think of one, to be
Right?
honest. Yeah.
Is there a
They
single
just,
policy?
I can't think of one. Maybe someone in the chat can think of one bill that was actually better for us. But
there was one that they rescinded recently about airlines. I don't know if you saw that. Like there was something that was going to pass that basically is kind of like the European style law. If your flight has been canceled or delayed for an extended period of time, I don't know, 4 hours or 6 hours, then you get some monetary reimbursement from
and
the
they
airline.
rescinded that.
Yes. And I'm like, who asked for that? Other than the airline lobby, was there anybody out there like a normal American's like, yeah, we shouldn't have that?
Was that because that was a Biden law that they wanted to remove because they didn't want him to have done something that people agreed with? Or was that
I'm not even sure if that's
purely
I think
based
that was
on
an
just lobby?
That was a Lena Khan thing. And so it wasn't official. That's why you can undo it. I don't know all the details about how I think it was an FCC thing. And it got basically nixed.
Yeah.
But nobody asked for that. That's what I'm saying is like, you can't give us a little bit like little reimbursement if like our plans get fucked up. Nothing, nothing for the circus. Like a little, you're on vacation. Like you want people to not be angry at the government. Like give them a little something to keep people occupied. Right there, the other day, did you see that clip where the CEO of Ticketmaster said that there's a lot more room to raise prices?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, yo, guys, that's the circus part, man. A lot of the bread has been taken away. You're gonna take away the circus, like
I saw that clip of Ticketmaster, and they're like, the sports leagues will charge $800 for a ticket, and we only charge $72. So we have a lot more room to grow. And I'm thinking, like, what? How do you brag about the fact that you want to charge more people to come to your concert?
I know. It's bizarre. I think they live in a bubble where they don't think, wow, what's the repercussion of that? Because coming from the corporate world, we don't optimize for that. We only optimize for your individual company, in your situation, in your quarter, whatever is coming up next. We need to make money doing that. And so that's all they care about. There's no, hey, what's the societal downstream impact of this? Right? Nobody gives a shit. They just care about that particular instance. I mean, we were recommending crazy shit. Like I was in big pharma, so we were recommending crazy shit like, oh, well, if you don't do safety checks at every single node of the supply chain, just do it at the end or the beginning or whatever. We just cut down a bunch of them. Then we can reduce the complexity. We can save money. It could be quote unquote more efficient. And then you do the math and you're like, oh, it saves X millions or X dollars every single year. I'm like, shouldn't we do these safety checks, guys? Shouldn't we have, isn't that bad? Like, let's say somebody slips up somewhere. Don't you want to have like redundancies in your supply chain to make sure if like something happened, like you don't poison the drug or something that happened, for example, with Tylenol many years ago. I know Tylenol is in the news now, but many years ago, they had a whole thing where Tylenol, like somebody slipped in something and the whole batch became toxic and immediately would poison and kill you. You don't want that.
No, I think the system is designed in a way that, they want to leave room for error and failure because we're the way that economy works and the way that business work is that, especially large corporations, is that the people higher up, they make decisions, and if they don't have scapegoats along the way, then they risk taking too much blame. And because of that, they actually build in intentionally failure points. Because when shit goes bad, because they're worried that their decision is what caused a mistake or something went wrong, or the product didn't sell, or the product wasn't successful, they want to be able to say, oh, it was Joe's fault.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's the whole point of consulting business. By the way, we don't optimize shit. They already know what they're going to do. They bring us in only to scapegoat us later if it doesn't work, right? They already made the decision to do something and then just say, hey, come in, do the math, just give us a good presentation. And then later on, if it goes bad, then we could say, well, McKinsey told us to do this. It's not me, right? This is the smartest, quote unquote, smartest people in the world came and said this is a great idea. So fucks up, not my fault, right? It's just sometimes that happens. And that's why they pay millions of dollars for like projects. I'm like, why do you need us to do this? This is stupid. And like,
What is your, we have a couple
the
people asking
documentary.
what your documentary is about.
The documentary was about the homeless crisis in California, or honestly throughout the entire country. But it really is supposed to be a financial assessment, like exposing all the grift behind the nonprofits that take millions of dollars each year and house nobody. Because that's a lot of, I mean, in California, people don't know. Over the last 5 to 6 years, we've spent $26 billion to solve homelessness. And it's gone up 30%. So there's something happening here. And even in the city of LA, because they have their own homeless program, right, that they run themselves, that they don't outsource. And the numbers are crazy. They're spending close to $1 billion and they're housing 900 people. I mean, just do the math there. They're not spending money appropriately. Something is wrong here. If the goal is to house people, something is amiss. So it's really digging into that stuff. Like we have plans. We still have plans. Like we're gonna like try to embed into homeless nonprofits, right? Undercover camera work, kind of like the James O'Keefe, except we're not gonna ask you to go on a date or whatever. But we're gonna just
swipe right.
Really, not like that. We're just gonna work within it and expose like what the hell is going on in there. Because we had a lot of whistleblowers coming to me just saying, "Hey, I work for this, or I've experienced this," and they don't do fucking shit in there. They're just grifting money. Right? You have basically the head of the homeless services in LA using or wanting to use the taxpayer dollars to fund her open bar at her holiday party. And one of her, I guess, underlings who have been working there for a long time, one of the civil servants, like actual civil servants, she's like, you can't do this. And then she got fired. The person who spoke up, she got rid of her. And there's just a bunch of other sketchy shit that was going on. They were like hiring people, all their friends. They would post a job posting for like one day, have their friends apply, take it down. And then Karen Bass declared a, what do they call it? A state of emergency around homelessness. And the reason why that she did that is now people can come in and work in this agency, this division, without taking civil service exam because it's an emergency. It's like we need to hire people. So a bunch of them came in just from various consulting gigs prior. They all knew each other from the nonprofit industry. They're hiring them. They're paying them astronomical salaries, 6 figures minimum. Some people pushing, 200 to 300, like mid 6 figures, not low 6 figures, to do absolutely nothing. They didn't understand anything about the homeless agency. They don't know how to house people, but they're just there to make PowerPoints and reorg. Or like, oh, we need another layer here to create more people. So it's shit like that nobody really knows about. And it's like kind of annoying to look into. And it's really in the weeds. But if people knew about it, it would be insane.
Have you tried to, or have you spoken to any of the kind of police that walk around that area?
What do you mean? The police?
Yeah.
No.
As far as like, because it gives you a different perspective. I was with some of the cops that are in the central district of LA, so downtown LA, like central district, and that's right where Skid Row is. So they deal with that shit every single day. They know like how it works. They know who comes by. They know who's like. They see the trucks show up with the tents because I was in a car with one of them and I was like, what? Why are all these tents the same exact color and brand? And they're like, oh yeah, they just show up with a truck one day and they buy these tents on bulk and then they charge the government like $1,000 a tent and they have to deliver them. So they just show up, open up the truck door, throw it out the back and they leave right away. And then people go and go grab a tent each. And then now they have tents. That's why everyone's the same tent because you buy in bulk. And it's really interesting because they have a different perspective on how it is. They're obviously not pro homelessness. They don't want, because when you go to Central District, literally in front of the doorway are all these homeless encampments. They have to walk by it every day. And I was like, why are they here? Why don't you get rid of them? And they're like, we used to clear it out every morning.
Yeah.
And then they come back at night. But then one of these organizations came in and said, you can't remove people's belongings. You're interfering with their things, so you can't touch it. So now they're required by law to not touch the tents. So they have to keep them there. They don't want to walk through that shit, but they have to, because those are the rules and regulations put in place. And like the whole thing's a grift. And you can see this, a couple of buildings that they built that are like hundreds of millions of dollars to build them. And like, yeah, there's a bunch of them that live up there. This is supposed to be homeless housing. They live on the top floor. Who's going to go in there to like stop anybody? Who's walking in to a 40-story homeless encampment when the gangsters are up top? Who's going in there? Do you know how crazy you have to be to walk into that thing?
Yes, it's almost like they want homeless people, right? That's the conspiracy that I think is an actual conspiracy, right? Are they trying to create more homeless people in order to service this cottage industry, right? Similar to how we create more wars in order to service the military, to give them a reason to spend money. And that's the weakness of America, I think. One of the big weaknesses is that we optimize for that shit. And so therefore we're okay with creating all these industrial complexes in almost any kind of area, up to and including, like we talked about earlier, anti-Semitism is also an industrial complex.
You need a homeless population in order to keep the lowest level of population down. You actually need
that theory. Yeah.
Because it's something to compare it to. You can't remove them, because if you remove them, then the bottom that do the hardest, worst jobs won't do them any longer. You need a class below them. And that's why they exist. That's what I think.
I think there's 100% validity in that. Although there are some countries that have removed homelessness, right? If you go to Singapore, there's no homeless people. They house them. Singapore is a 90, well, not even house them, but they have a 90%, what is it? Home ownership rate. Extremely high.
Yeah. I mean, they figured out how to do it, and they did it differently, though. You know,
I mean, they have a tiny country. It's a small population. It's easier to manage, right? If it's America, whatever, 370 million people, very difficult to get everybody in line and on board with the same policies. But
I mean, Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew had a lot of interesting ideas. I've read a lot of them. But he also just locked the people that disagreed. So that's kind of the way that it works. Point. You know what I mean?
That is, you get the good with the bad, but it seems like in America, we're trending towards getting the bad with the bad.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen throughout the world that the countries that are the safest and seem the cleanest and have a certain level of life for the majority of the population, they're always the most authoritarian ones. You just remove the bottom. And if that's what you want, like, you just have to be okay with that. And that's actually something that people have to decide. That what sucks about America is that we don't get the choice to make that decision.
Well, exactly. It seems like we're getting that authoritarianism, though. Yeah. But we don't have the nice trains. Because I always make
not yet. Like, you have to take control and power first. So that's really the plan. You take control, you take power, and then you're able to do whatever you want. And then once you're able to do what you want, then you decide who gets to stay and who goes on the other side. And then you make life better for the people that are on your side. And the people on the other side, well, it doesn't matter. You're on the other side. But for the people that are on your side, life actually gets better and it does improve. That's the model. That's what works in all these countries, that are doing really well.
That's a good point, because the democracies that have done well and have done this kind of thing, it's usually a very homogenous population. They don't have this kind of infighting going on. And therefore everybody's more or less still unified.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about this whole America thing, is that if you want America to be great again, you actually have to be like really authoritarian. It's the only way that'll work. You're going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to need a benevolent dictator to just make things the way that he sees it and hope that you're on the right side of history on that. And that's really hard for a lot of Americans to do, because We were taught since we were born, like, oh, you have freedom, you have democracy, you actually have a choice. You can, your voice matters. We've been told that, indoctrinated with that. And now that they're trying to go to this kind of authoritarian, dictatorial model, which is not actually the worst model. I'm not saying that's bad. It's a different way of doing it, but we're going there. But the population has been convinced that we matter. And cognitively, it's really hard for us to kind of struggle and kind of put that together. But if you want the country to improve, you need like federal troops to go and just wipe people out, and they're going to get some people wrong. People are looking
I don't
at
think
El Salvador.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, look at El Salvador. People are like, oh yeah, look how well El Salvador doing. Yeah, they arrested all those people. They put them into all these maximum security prisons, right? We've all seen the videos of the maximum security prisons in El Salvador.
We've seen that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know if any state, even China, right? One of the most authoritarian dictatorships, they don't have necessarily military in the streets. They have a lot of police. Well, but they're police.
They don't.
Like the problem with the military is they're trained to kill. These guys, you're deploying killers, right? People who are literally there to fight for your country and kill other army, whatever, other enemies. And now you're going to position them to do peacekeeping. It's not really what they're trained for.
Yeah, that's not what they do now, but that's what they had to do to get there. Right? You don't just go into, oh yeah, our police are there just to monitor for your safety. Like you don't get there overnight. You have to go through we're going to clean shit up. We're going to take away people's rights. We're going to lock people up and we're going to get some wrong. But for the greater good, it's better. Again, El Salvador.
But how can you trust though? How can you trust? Like, do you trust anybody to be a benevolent dictator? Like, is there a person that you?
No, you don't get to choose in those situations. It just happens. That's why Americans have a difficulty with that, because we feel like we have the right to choose. But for this system to work and go that direction, like you actually won't have the ability to choose. I don't want to live like that. I believe in choice, but actually, if you're looking at from a really far view, that's what's going to work. So it's really difficult, Again, El Salvador, it's doing better, and they locked up all the criminals, and there's no more crime. They dropped their crime rate by 90%, but they locked up a lot of innocent people along the way, and they'll never get a trial. And that sucks for them. But for the greater good, no one cares.
But the question
we in America don't care that all these innocent people in El Salvador got locked up, because all we see is, but their crime rate dropped.
Because all the criminals are locked up. Criminals. But then who becomes a criminal? I think one fear that people like me have, I'm sure you have the fear as well, is like, well, who's a criminal? Is it just violent criminals, or is it people who criticize Israel? Are those criminals too? You get to lock those guys up?
Yeah.
That's the slippery slope. Is now you have thought crimes.
Yeah, the people in charge will decide. I mean, in China, they went after thought crime. They didn't like people that went after kind of what they were building. That's why we have the whole Tiananmen Square thing, right? People push back against the change in society and corruption, and they decide that they're going to shut it down. Because people thought that they had a choice. And after years and years of kind of going down that model, now we're seeing like, oh, well, actually kind of worked out. It's tough.
For some people it works out, right? That's the question. It's like, are you willing to, have a more homogenous population? Which is, sometimes I get it. It's like, when people are saying, oh, the Muslims are incompatible and this and that. I'm like, well, they do have a very different, way of life. And it's like, can you really sustain that in a country where everybody's so different, right? Because I do sense like, okay, it is good to say, hey, when you come to America, these are our values, like you should assimilate. And, it seems reasonable, but then it's like, is that what you're actually after? Or is there something more, is it possible? Is it possible that there's more nefarious goals behind what you're saying?
I mean, I think there's a combination of all of it, Like, I don't want to live in an authoritarian state. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not advocating for it at all, by all means. But at the same time, like, it's also what's proven to work. And that's what they're looking at. That's what Trump is looking at. He's like, hey, how did China like figure this shit out?
Right.
How does Xi have so much power? They're even looking at small experiments like Singapore. Holy shit, the Singapore thing, they're kind of crushing it right now. What did they do?
They got
And
rid
like,
of all
oh,
the
okay.
problem people.
Yeah. All the countries that were told that democracy is working is kind of failing. And all these countries that have kind of this authoritarian dictatorial control, well, they're kind of thriving. Maybe we should go there because that's the whole premise. We're trying to make America great again. And I think that's the thing. I don't know if that, again, I'm not advocating for it, but that's the model they're looking at.
But do you trust that that's what they're actually trying to do? Right.
Yeah.
That's the question, is that because it seems like there's a lot of evidence of them just trying to take a piece. They're kind of strip mining this country for the inevitable collapse. And they're using authoritarian means to do these kinds of things. And then once it's done, they just peace out. Right. Why do the billionaires all have bunkers in New Zealand? What's going on here? Right. They're not investing in this country. They're just letting this country rot. They're not actually trying to fix anything. They're just trying to, it's like it was once a nice palace. They're just trying to rip everything else that was once there, the gold or the silverware and the tapestry, whatever is there. They're just going to rip everything out, make the money that we can right now, and then just let it die.
I think there's two camps. I think there are people that are purely for the sake of monetization and survival.
Yeah.
And there are those that are trying to play like the global legacy game. And I think there's just different types of people, not everyone wants to. Yeah. Not every, well, I think we all know which one. I think Trump cares more about his name than anything else. And he wants to be the person known. I mean, if he passed as the guy who took full control of the United States and made it better, if those two headlines could be next to each other, was in full control and made it better, like he'd be the happiest guy ever. All right.
Yeah, that's what people like me sometimes bank on. It's like, oh, I hope he cares about his legacy, because if he didn't, man,
I think he does. But again, it is do the ends justify the means? And I am very much the means justify the ends. You can't just arrest random people and take authoritarian control and do whatever the hell you want because you're hoping that it'll get better. I am very against that model. But most people within business, that think power, don't care how you get to where you want to go. They just do it.
True.
That's again. You see places like China and Singapore, UAE. These are all dictator-run type of countries, and they're doing actually very well. And Americans are like, dude, like China sucks or UAE sucks or like Singapore sucks. Look, but that's not true. Like they're actually as a country, they're crushing it. But for the small minority of people on the bottom who are not aligned with the party vision, like your life sucks. And that's kind of what they're looking at. I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to model just the same. That's what I really believe.
That's an optimistic take. That's a good faith interpretation of what's going on right now. Right? You're saying that they're trying to achieve Singapore or Dubai here, right? Not trying to destroy everything and then leave and go live in Dubai.
Well, I think the scary part is they're willing to destroy everything to hope that they're right. And I don't think that's worth the gamble because no one's ever attempted to try it on this type of country at this scale before.
Does it work? Well, I think everything kind of seems to work itself out at some point. If you just look in the long history, there's going to be some really painful periods of time. Your hope is that you don't live in those painful periods, but we don't really have a choice. It seems like we're kind of headed there. Big picture, it's going to be fine, right? That's why I tell people Rome is still there, right? Arguably better now that, they care about pasta and culture and these coffee versus during
and they
the
have
Roman
a country
Empire.
to protect.
Right. Well, the Roman Empire, I just cared about
they have a whole country to protect inside of them, but that's fine.
I don't know. So over the long period of time, the UK empire collapsed. They're somewhat around still. America, yeah, we're going to lose. At some point, we are going to lose that global hegemonic power position. It's just then what do we do once that happens? Like, do we look inward and try to make it a better place, or does it completely rot to hell?
That's what I wish. I wish the US would get out of like outside affairs because the United States can self-sustain without importing anything. It's one of the few countries in the entire world that can cut off the borders, have no connection to anyone on the outside, and still sustain and live on forever just fine.
Can we though? Do we even make anything like the semiconductors and shit like that? We can't do that.
Do we not have enough technology
batteries?
right now to like survive? Like, do you really need more semiconductors?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do you need more technology?
No, okay, that's a good point. Okay,
you're in California. I'm in Georgia, and we're like talking. I don't know if I need like a hologram of you here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
That's a good point.
I think we have enough.
That's a fair point. Yes. When is enough enough? That's a great question. You know, we got it.
I think we had enough like 50 years ago, to be honest.
Oh yeah. That's one of the things that drove me out of corporate corporate America is that it was never enough, right? It's like every year we got to grow 10 or 15%. And it was got to be this is bad. I don't want to be a part of this. And it's not interesting to me, and it's evil in a lot of ways. And so I just don't want it. Like, we did a lot of evil shit. I mean, people would say it's banal, right? It's the banality of evil. It's like we weren't out there killing people, but indirectly we were causing a rot to form, you know, in mainstream America, which you could argue then kills people.
I think if the United States shut off the border, shut off from the entire world, and said, you know what, for the next generation, we're just going to focus on the country. And even if you didn't cut your military spending, but the military spending was just to protect the borders, I think the country would be better. And I don't think we need to go down this authoritarian, like take over the world type of role, because
I would agree with you.
It's just not necessary. But it's this like inherent desire to always be growing, always be scaling, always get richer. You can't stop and ignore the world because of that reason alone. If they could have the ability to be content, then like there's 300 million people here. What else do you need? Like, oh no, we're gonna fall behind technology. With what? You have 300 million people.
We'll figure it out.
What I mean?
We'll figure it's
figure
like if we're we'll figure it out. Exactly. And you're 100% right. It's like if we cared about restoring this country, like that's what we need to do. Honestly, the immigrant conversation, a little bit of a red herring at this point, arguing over, you know, it's like, why does it seems like the Democratic Party at this point cares more about immigrants. This is controversial to say, but it seems like they care more about immigrants than actual Americans sometimes. It's very weird to have, you know, the billionaire heiress of Walmart fund pro-immigrant protests. It's like, what are you really trying to do? Do you care about immigrants or do you want cheap labor? What are you doing? These kinds of things, right? Where it's like, hey, we need exactly what you said, you know, look inward, try to fix it. Like we can't deal with that. Like that's not in our purview anymore. You know, maybe at one point America was more powerful. We could do all those things and still make the country better. At this point, the dollar seems to be collapsing. I was talking to another guy today, Ryan Matta. We were talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, but he was just like, hey, do you know this crazy stat where I haven't fact checked him, but he basically said, hey, back in like 1970, if you buy a house, like $20,000, a car is $2,000. And today it's, you know, $800,000 for that similar house. And the car is now $43,000. And if we were to go another 50 years, the house would be like, I think he said the car would be like 800,000. Like if we're at the scale, the collapse of the dollar, right, the inflation rate, it would get out of control. And why do we have this inflation rate? Mostly, I think it's because we're funding all these fucking wars. You know, we need to print more money to do these wars, and then we're doing all this quantitative easing bullshit. And therefore, you know, it's good for the elites who have assets who can then still position them appropriately where they're still making money. But if you just are a wage earner, you're basically fucked.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're like, oh, look at Malay slashing all the funding and cutting all the money, and look at him, he's like amazing, and he's so great. Cut. And he's like, IMF, I need some money. And he had to get an IMF bailout. And now he's like, United States, I need some money. And And the United States like, oh yeah, no problem, friend. Here's $20 billion. And wait, I thought his policies were working. Why does he need $20 billion?
That's a Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi scheme.
A Ponzi scheme. We don't
Okay.
know.
They say that Javier Milei is Benjamin Netanyahu's cousin. Do you buy into that theory? Have you heard that one?
I've never heard that. That's
What?
crazy. I've not heard that. That's
Javier Milei is Javier Milei, Milikowski, and Benjamin Netanyahu is Benjamin Milikowski.
Is that
yeah,
Milei
Benjamin Milikowski is his name.
Really?
And
Oh no, I
people
know
are saying
that.
that they're cousins.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. It's a theory. It's one of these crazy conspiracy theories. Benjamin
It's a
Milikowski
debunked rumor, they said.
yeah, of course they say it's debunked. They also said the DEWs and space lasers were debunked. You know, debunking means nothing to me.
Oh, Milikowski versus Millet. I see. Are they okay? I mean, are they both Jewish? They're both Jewish, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, in essence, who cares if they're actually cousins or not?
Someone says I'd say nephew and uncle. Maybe. Maybe. Matt, check out China Fact Chasers. It's not all sunshine and rainbows here. They put out an image that tells otherwise, just like the USSR did. I think when you look at different countries, you see what you want to see. So people say, oh, China's great, whatever, because they show you all the nice shit in China. And other people are like, no, it's not that great here. Look at these people that are having a really hard time, that are feeling like really oppressed. It's like 10% or 20% of the people. Okay. Imagine if people looked at America at the same lens. Like, oh, America's so great. I watched a bunch of Hollywood movies. America's amazing. Look at the nice part of New York City. Be like, oh yeah, like America's really nice. But they're like, oh, but look at the people that live in Skid Row. Look at the people that live downtown. Look at the people living in Chicago, and be like, oh shit, America sucks. You can frame any country the way you want to frame it if you look at it. If you see it. Even like people say this about North Korea, they're like, oh, North Korea is like the worst, and people are starving. Because they do the pan of like people that are hungry. Like, well, go slow pan downtown LA.
Yeah.
Have that be the only thing that you see. You'd be like, holy shit, LA sucks. Like, no, actually, if you go 1 mile, it's really nice.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's really.
And there's no reason like America should have that, right? We have more than enough to avoid that, but maybe like to your point earlier, you need that lower class.
You need it.
The lower class is required.
Because, like people even think, oh, like Mexico sucks, It's so dangerous down there. Like, no, that's like pure propaganda. If you go to Mexico, it's really nice, actually. The nice parts are really nice. Yes, there are parts that are bad, just like there are really bad parts in the United States, like Mississippi. But you go to nice parts of Mexico City, like people who live really well. The people in Mexico, they don't want to come here. Like their life is pretty good over there. People are like super based, super conservative. They don't deal with this shit, So I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of seeing the propaganda that you want to see. Mexico sucks. People are like, oh, Mexico sucks. And then you just watch videos of like poor people in Mexico. Like, oh yeah, Mexico sucks. Well,
right.
Look at poor people in America. It sucks. Life in America is really difficult.
Well, maybe the better question is, if every country is like that, then maybe the better question is to look at the leaders to say, are they trying to actually improve it? Or are they trying to do things selfishly and make things worse?
I mean, there's not a lot of leaders in the world that really focus on that bottom 10%. There's no money in it. There's no value in it. You get stuck in the cycle of poor education, no money, debt. Like, why would you want to save them? From like a leadership standpoint. And
you don't want there to be fucking mass shootings and riots and chaos in the streets, right? Because you want to take those people and reduce the incentives of being radicalized, right? That's That's what I think a leader should do. It's like, okay, I can either have this guy rotting in his couch, but somewhat content, or have him really pissed off and go out and kill people.
I don't think they care about radicals at all because they're not the ones actually a threat.
Until they are a threat. But yeah, I get what you're saying, right? Because it's like the radicalization can be used as a reason to then bring about the surveillance.
Yeah,
policies.
if you're a leader of a country or a leader of society, you don't fear the people at the bottom rung. You actually fear the people that are in your equal rung or the one level below you because they're the ones coming after you. They're actually a threat, you know? Like you don't put focus on the people at the bottom. And that's for every country, which is why if you're in the bottom 10% of any country in the world, like your life sucks. That's just a system that we live in, you know?
But does it suck less or more than other? Because I have read now that China, the bottom whatever percentage, is actually relatively better off than Americans in that same social class. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's relative, you know?
It's the reports that are out there. There's a narrative being formed by somebody. Somebody's funding that. The Qataris.
The Qataris. I mean, Asia in general is just cheaper. So you're like, oh, look, like their GDP is lower and they make less money. Well, like when things are a quarter of the price or half the price, then you only need half the money. But then now you have to like reframe how you see it, you know? Like, oh,
That's
they're
true.
only making, they have to live off $1,000 a month. Yeah, but breakfast is $1.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, true.
Dude, I went to Burger King for the first time in a long time a couple days ago, and it was like $12 for like a number one. And I was
Insane.
like, $12? That's crazy.
It is crazy. I went to Shake Shack yesterday, not because I like that stuff, because I was just so hungry driving home. I'm like, I need to eat something that was just right off the freeway. $20.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm like, this was a normal burger. That's why I still appreciate In-N-Out. I still appreciate In-N-Out. In-N-Out's still $10, basically, for the double.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, people are like, oh, the economy is getting up and, people are making more money, but shit costs more. Like, it doesn't matter anymore, you know?
Yeah, inflation is still out of control. Not out of control, but it's elevated. Okay?
There aren't many homeless in Alaska. Huh, I wonder if that's true.
I heard they're basically making it illegal. I saw some video, I don't know if it's true or not. The guy that goes everywhere, what's his name? Man, it's a YouTube guy. He just goes on the street and he was there with the cats and dogs, in whatever state that was, Ohio. He just goes and interviews and does street interviews. Wow, what's his name? I forgot his name now. But anyways, he was up in Alaska. It's like, oh, this is a place where they like kill homeless people or something. It was a very clickbaity YouTube title. It's like the state where they kill homeless people. And I guess there's like some programs out there. And it's also really cold. People don't really want to go there. It's just not conducive to the homeless environment, right? In homelessness, you want to go to Venice Beach. You want to go to San Diego, San Francisco, these places that are nice most of the year. You don't really want to go to Alaska.
I want to go to Alaska. I've never been.
Homeless. You're not homeless. You'll be on the street. You'll be in a nice, cozy cottage.
It's like top of my list of places I want to go.
I would love to go to Alaska as well.
Yeah, I want to go to Alaska. Anyone I've ever met that's kind of done the Alaska tour say it's like the best place ever to go. I'm like, it's so curious.
I'm sure it's beautiful. I mean, it's fairly probably uncorrupted in terms of like just because not that many people go there. It's like more free, right? It's the last frontier. They call it the last frontier, right? It's like the last vestige of what America is supposed to be.
I follow a guy on X and I talked to him as well. I think his X is like Rants from Alaska or something like this. And he like posts about all the political corruption in Alaska.
Oh.
And I was just thinking like, man, same shit all the way up there. You know what I mean?
It's the same shit everywhere, to be honest with you. Same shit in every single country, but it's more of the degree of corruption and how much they're able to do. Because I was talking to my friend from Switzerland, and I think it's fantastic, right? If you see anything going on over there, it looks great. But he's like talking about the right-wing government of Switzerland and how they're trying to cut, programs and shit like that. I was like, how right-wing is the right-wing government of Switzerland? You know what I mean? It's all a degree, right? They think it's really bad, but I'm like, dude, look at what's happening in other countries, it's even way worse. So I think it's everything is relative to your experience, right? If you grew up in Switzerland, wow, it looks horrible. I go there, fantastic. I don't care how right wing. I don't know. I would vote for this party for sure, no problem. And I'm not using right wing as a pejorative, even though it came across like I think there is some benefits to the right. That's why I really tried to stay away from the left right paradigm. I almost never.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a big trap. I almost never think like that because it's designed to get you into like a box of, infighting amongst each other because of cultural perspectives, cultural issues.
It's easier to control and manage limited data sets.
Yeah.
You don't want random data everywhere, like you want people to be in lanes. It's like an Excel sheet. You want people to be in one line. You don't want people to you don't want data to be outside of your Excel sheet. It's really annoying, just in columns so you can move them around. That's what we are.
Pivot table.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. All right. We should do this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate the invite. Love to have you out. Are you still coming out to Cali?
I am. I'm going out there, I think in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, to speak at some conference or something. But it's going to be in Orange County, Southern Orange County, I think. So we'll hang out then. I think maybe second week of October.
Would love to try to connect, get you on my show. Would love to talk to you about like the VPN stuff and the actual thing.
Yes.
I want you to explain why it's unhackable and why it's different. ExpressVPN is now giving up a free version. I'm like, I wonder why.
Of course. Definitely go check out James's show, his new podcast, Today-ish.
The Today-ish show.
The Today-ish show. Can you put that up, Will, somewhere so people can see it? And maybe we'll link it also in the description. The Today-ish show. It's getting better. You've been doing a lot of them. Well, I know the struggle of like figuring it out, like in the beginning, like, can we get this out right? Can we do this right? Like, I know that's a battle.
Dude, no, I don't want to say it on air. Actually, it's going to be offline conversation with the with the technology behind it, or with the technical stuff. But we're figuring things out, and also trying to figure out what that show is, right? Because
that's the time.
Collaborating with another person. They have their perspective. They have their audience. I have my audience. It's like, what are we trying to build together here? What's going to be the point of the show? Where is it going? And that's all being figured out, right? We're on episode 12. There's podcasts, Joe Rogan's on episode, 4,000 or whatever the fuck. You're on episode,
170 I've done.
170. So it's like, there's a process to the whole thing. And, I think what I want to have from that is just more conversation, more discourse, bringing on interesting people, having interesting topics, conversations that we could just have. It's supposed to be, I wanted to replace the name came from like, hey, we're going to be like the new Today show. Today is going to be done. It's going to be the Today show. We're going to talk about all the ish that's going on. And it's just going to be an edgier version of a current events, pop culture, politics show that people should watch versus the really like tightly produced Today show where it's like, okay, we're going to do a segment about like brownies. I don't know what the fuck I don't watch the Today show, so I don't know what to talk about on there, to be honest with you. So we're not going to get it right at first. I think we're going to, we're figuring that stuff out, and we do have a lot of confidence that it will work at some point, and we just have to figure out what that is. And then that's going to be like, that's a good outlet for me in terms of like more opinion based, because a lot of stuff that I do in my videos is not really that opinion based. I'm researching stuff. I'm presenting facts. I'm tying together some narrative, some expose on corruption. So there's not a lot of me giving opinions, and that's just I think a good outlet if people want to hear what I actually think sometimes versus just sticking to receipts and the facts. That's where I'll be voicing those things, because I do believe that there's power in just my brand is like, hey, I'm just gonna give you shit that I found out. Like, I don't want to get into all the fucking weird culture shit that you guys talk about. But then sometimes I do want to comment on Sydney Sweeney's jeans, Sometimes I
Great. I used to do a lot of the really similar stuff that you do in the short form,
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. I just didn't want to do it anymore. But I'd still do the
That's your
same reading.
prerogative.
I do the same reading that I did before, and I'm still looking to the same issues, but now I just expand it out and either you catch it or you don't, like whatever, But
I mean, you have a
I've been
great
doing
thing
more
going on.
live. Yeah, I've been
Yeah, no,
doing
I
more of the
love live.
live, and I think the live is really interesting. Like I recognize a lot of the people in the chat. There, we have a pretty good stream that's going on. It's growing every time we do it, and more and more people are hanging out. And I think the future isn't live content. I think that's really could be the future of like who survives
Yeah.
this kind
I mean,
of
that's what we're
AI
doing.
apocalypse, you
Yeah,
know?
that's what we think too. So we're going live as well. Like we're
Mm.
doing live content because that's really where it's at. I mean, you and Peter are probably the best peanut gallery around,
Yeah, the
on
best.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's so funny because you're one of the few shows because there's just too many, I'm too busy honestly to like
Yeah.
consume that many podcasts, but you're definitely one of the, I would say in the top two. Like I watch you guys and then I'll watch Tim Dillon because I think he's
Mm.
hilarious.
Yeah, Tim Dillon's funny.
That's pretty much it for the regular stuff. Like I'll dab into like Joe Rogan if I like the guests. So, but in terms of you guys, I was like, oh, I want to hear what Matt and Peter, you know, are reacting to this week. It's just fun.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan used to be a lot of people used to be like I have to watch him every week.
Well, the
And
$700 million
then
from Spotify, that's what changed.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it became, oh, I'm gonna watch him based on who the guest is.
Mm.
And I think when that shift happens, like it's not the same anymore, you know? Because when I first doing interviews, someone said to me, and I've thought about this a lot. They're like, as long as people like you, they'll watch who your guest is because they
Mm.
like you. They may not know if they want to take a risk on the guest or not, but if they like you, then they'll tune in anyway. And I
Hmm.
thought that was a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
And then when I realized I'm like scrubbing people for their guest, like, oh, that means I actually don't like them very much. Because if I like them, I will watch their shit guest.
Interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to, I don't know Rogan at all,
Yeah.
right? So I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but it does seem like from the outside, he's become less curious over time. And I think maybe that's what's changed a little bit. Where if I don't like I pretty much know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And if I kind of, it's predictable, there's not that spontaneity level to it. It's not live. Like for you, that's what the live show is fun because you never know what you're going to say. You can't censor yourself, right? It's going out there, right? Shit could fall apart. You could say something because if it's recorded, you can go back and say, hey, I didn't like that line. I want to take it out. But live, if you just said something off the cuff, it's out there.
I don't think, well, have we ever cut anything out on any podcast we've done? Maybe once or twice. The shit that would have got us like banned.
Yeah.
You know? Like oh yeah, if we publish this will 100% get us banned. I think that's the only thing we've ever cut out. Like if it's gray, we leave it, but if it's like 100% this one's gonna get us banned, then we have no choice. We have to cut that line. It's like one line. But I don't think we've ever edited someone's like podcast or interview before, right? Well, I don't think so. I don't think we ever have. Maybe once when they were like shit talking someone they weren't supposed to.
But that's what I'm saying. It leaves open the possibility because I remember watching Rogan and Daryl Cooper, and there's this one part when he was talking about the Nazis. I was like, that looks edited. Camera work didn't seem right. And then,
Can we buy a DVD of the Too Hot for TV clips? We will do. I think we will do a
Patreon.
Yeah, we'll do like I think the Too Hot for TV clips are too hot for Patreon too.
That's the next business that you guys start. It's like
completely uncensorable, like untrackable, like some sort of. I think eventually out there, but it's really dangerous because there are a lot of people out there that don't like the stuff. Even like in doing the VPN or like, dude, like we're getting like weird questions and people are like snooping around. And like anytime you're talking about the mass of people, people are going to be interested in what you're doing. You know, I think when I moved to like this little tiny little corner of YouTube, they're like, okay, like, dude, he's just talking to like people in the corner and everyone that people that are questioning everything anymore. Let's just put those people into that corner and we don't have to worry about them as much. When I was doing like my Instagram videos, I was like 10, 20, 30 million views a month. Like everyone's interested in what I'm saying. And you don't actually even care. You're just like looking for an opportunity for something to go bad or like looking for an opportunity to like tap me on the shoulder. It's like, hey, you should say this. And I think that's really what was too much, like the taps on the shoulder. Now that I'm just kind of on my corner of the internet, like, like people leave me alone.
That's what, yeah, that's eventually, I think, where I want to go as well, is just kind of build your own space. Like if people are interested to hear it, it's great. If not, I mean, there is power in mass reach, right? There's like, hey, there's some important thing I want people to know about, like something I've looked into. There's still room for that, but then it's I don't want to be chasing views. A lot of times you get this point where it's like, oh, I know this is gonna go viral. I don't really care about it, but it's probably gonna go viral, so I'll do it. It's that kind of thing that's icky. It feels icky.
Yeah. I mean, I've run into that a lot, especially on Instagram days. Like, dude, I'm like, well, this one's gonna go viral. I know for sure. Like, I had this idea about this story, and it's a good one. It's gonna go for sure. And like we'll watch me record like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, oh, we're talking about the lottery today. Like, oh, dude, like we're talking about the rigged lottery. That's guaranteed like 10 million views. I mean, of course. But I'm like, am I really doing a follow-up video on the lottery? Do I really need to do that?
Yeah. And then eventually, I think for the influencers, the news influencers out there, they kind of have to decide.
Oh, they're toast. News influencers done.
Whether they're going to be influencer or they're going to do some real journalism. You know what I mean? Because I think I play kind of a fine line between the two. But
I think journalism is dead, and I think
don't say that.
Journalism is dead. It's going to be replaced by AI and AI research, and influencers who rely on that will be replaced by AI content because you, as an influencer online, can put out maybe 1 or 2 or 3 videos a day, and an AI can take that same idea after you make it and do 1,000 of those same videos. So you, as one person who does all the time, all the research, puts it onto the internet, and one guy with a bot will make 1,000 of them. Yeah, we'll scrape it, make 1,000 of them. They'll make it sound better. They'll make it put it in different iterations so that
maybe I think people will reject that. I think people will reject the AI bullshit. I think so. Or if you demonetize it, like I think YouTube is saying we're not monetizing AI videos.
Yeah, but they still get the reach. They don't care about the monetization of the video. They're going to plug in a propaganda video in between. They'll pay them $3,000 to $5,000. They'll do a merch, or they'll do or some sort of other type of advertisement in there. Like monetization is not the only one of content.
I think people want to watch Matt Kim. I think short form. I think some of it is. I think people still want to connect with a real person. I think that's never going to go away. That's my thought. I think people with the AI, yes, those videos will go viral, but you as a person, there's still value in a person communicating this information. And also the news gathering is like you do need you need them on the ground to say, hey, this story broke. You need somebody to go collect that information. The primary source journalism still needs to exist. And a person can only do so much of that. You still need that ecosystem to exist, or else what, you're just gonna have a bunch of propagandists? Like you need the people to go ask the uncomfortable questions or go up, follow up, go on the side like that. I appreciate the people who are literally going out to UVU right now and saying, I'm gonna fucking take a scope of all the cameras that exist. I'm documenting everything before they fucking tear the shit down. And I'm gonna go talk to the people who are there. Like that shit is very, very valuable.
Yeah, it's valuable, but after they do it one time or maybe a second time or a third time, and they realize that they're not getting any of the views nor making any of the money, and that these companies who just scrape that content and repurpose it are making all the money, how long before they just give up?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And the hope is that there's going to be, I think there's in the works, like I've been talking to people on the side, just like, hey, we need to build some kind of consortium of independent reporters and journalists, like so we can still be independent, but we can scale, right?
I mean the test is this, right? Go into your TikTok and start scrolling videos and be like, all right, this is an original video versus this is a repurposed video or AI video. And just start checking and see what the percentage is of how much real content you consume. And I think you'll be surprised, like how much content you're actually consuming that's not original.
Good point. When you consider it not original, it's like, hey, check out what Candace Owen just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because any bot can do that.
That's true. That's true.
How much is original content? How much is your actual content getting out there? How much are you getting paid for? Or how much are you getting as far as reach? And how many times do you watch them? Like, dude, I said that same exact thing, but that's not you. Like, oh, they just farmed my idea. And once the idea is farmed, there's a million other bots saying the same thing you said, but you spent all the time research doing it. How long before you just give up? I think you have to have an exit strategy and a plan beyond that. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing the short form. I just think short form is dead, No,
I'm going in long form. I'm dedicating way more effort into YouTube. Even though YouTube is harder, it takes longer. There's just, I think, more sustainability in the long run. And that's part of the podcast too. It's like, that's why I'm building the podcast, bro.
Yeah. I think streaming is it. Speaking to your own community regularly is it. I think that anytime there's a change in technology, the youngest generation always figures out first. They always understand like what the next trend and what is actually going to work for the internet. The youngest generation is always the first to figure that shit out. And they're streaming.
Yeah.
Like they're telling you. You just have to pay attention, Yeah, they're rejecting the AI content. They're even rejecting interview content. They're not even watching it. They'd rather watch two people hang out rather than two people interview. Right? And then I started thinking about like, man, how much interview content do I watch? I'm like, oh, I don't watch any interview content anymore. Unless it's like really interesting. It's like the outlier. Like I'm not watching any interview podcast. Because you've seen
the same.
Yeah, it's the same person that goes around, and if they're going around enough, then you've already seen their clips too, so you have no interest in what they're about to say. You already assume you already know what they're going to say, so you don't even watch it. Like you said, oh yeah, I didn't watch the Sam Altman thing. I just watched that one clip. But you decided to not watch the whole interview because you watched one clip, right?
Well, because I'm not interested in here because I pretty much know, I think what Sam Altman is going to say, and I think he more or less. When you told me about it, I'm like, yeah, I would think he would say that because he's sort of this altruistic care. He pretends to care about shit, but in the end, he's hiring hitmen to break into people's homes and kill people, allegedly.
Yeah. Someone says Charlie Sheen is going around now. Yeah, they're all well, everyone's represented by the same agency, So that's why you see the same people go around. Everyone is UTA. I don't know if you signed with UTA. I don't know if you're going to sign UTA.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Oh, United Talent Agency?
No.
United Talent Agency represents pretty much every single major podcaster in America.
Okay.
Which is why you see the same people in everyone's podcast and they do the same tour in the same row because it's the same agency that controls all of it.
No, I'm not interested. So like when we bring on guests, it's usually because I have some personal relationship with them. I want to hear what they're saying. They're not on some kind of podcast circuit. I'm like, hey, I'm going on podcast. Obviously I don't have a big podcast, so I'm not on the list of podcast circuit, but I hope like when we get to that stage, I'll be like, no, don't care. Because then you get into this access shit where you're like, oh, you're trying to get a person on, and then, you're basically
UTA. You don't get on the list until you get into UTA.
Well,
that's where the list exists.
I wonder why they haven't reached out to me because I think I'm at a size where they would be interested, but nobody's reached out. So
yeah, until you get into the United Talent Agency like ecosystem, like while they have so many podcasts, why would they ever bring their tour guest outside of it? Now you're only dealing with like friends or personal relationships.
Yeah.
That's why you see them on Nelk Boys, and then you see him on PBD, and then you see him on Tucker, and then you see him on Joe Rogan, and then you see him on Sean Ryan, and then you see him on like Theo Vaughn, and he's like everyone. It's always the same people. And it's the same guest on all of them, you know?
And so I'm trying to build something outside of that. It's like, hey, I want to build something where
it's
unassailable. Right? You did it. You did it. I'm trying to be you, Matt.
It's not easy, man. I don't know if I've done anything. You've
done it. You've done a thing like this.
We're just here. You know?
You're just a little bit ahead of me. I want to be you. That's where it's at. You got to build it independently.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it.
Man. Yeah.
If anyone else wants to go check out James's new podcast at Today-ish, definitely go check it out. How many episodes you put up a week? 2, 3, 1? One a week.
Yeah.
With James and Danny.
Definitely
go check it out. And yeah, we'll do this again maybe in a couple days. And you got to come back on more regularly. I think we're doing more streaming.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate you.
SARS, check in. See you guys next time.